We're already starting week 6 of the National Football League, especially after last night's game between the Jags and the Kansas City Chiefs. Already into week 6, and it's a short work week for the Eagles. They've got the Giants on Thursday Night Football. First and foremost, before I get to the drama that's going on in Philadelphia here, last night I'm watching the game, and I'm watching the Jaguars, and I'm watching Trevor Lawrence. And all the conversations that we have about quarterbacks, as soon as Mahomes scored, I said this with time left on the clock: Trevor Lawrence, you've got to win games like this. It's time. It can't be about coaches. It can't be about personnel. You've got to win games like this. And they would go on and win 31-28 last night in what was a pretty good NFL Monday Night Football game. The Jaguars have beaten the 49ers and now the Chiefs in consecutive games. They're 4-1 on the season. Etienne and that defense, by the way, that linebacker I told you the Eagles should draft, is an absolute superstar. And the Jags look like they're for real, man. Liam Cohen has done a hell of a job. All right. Kudos. Who would have thunk it? 1-4 Ravens, 2-3 Chiefs, and you got the Colts. And you got the Colts and the Jags now in that division, leading the division. It's crazy. I mean, incredible what we're seeing so far with the first start of the NFL season, getting out of September now into October. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Super Chats go to the top. Today on the program at 3:30, the former head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Pederson, will join us. The Super Bowl coach will talk about the Eagles. We'll go around the NFL. We'll get his spin on quarterbacks, and we'll ask him what's next for the former head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles and Super Bowl champion Doug Pederson. Howard Eskin will join us at 4:30. Xander will join us at 5. We have a packed show. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button there. All right. The meeting. The legendary meeting that took place. Isn't it funny? I told you that there was a problem with these two's relationship, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. You fought me on it. Well, you're wrong. You're wrong. There is. When I have a problem with my defense or my offense, I don't go to the starting linebacker on my defense. I go to the head football coach. And I asked the head football coach if he's got a minute. Because his law is the last law in our locker room. I don't sit around talking about what I need to do defensively with another player. So to assume that that meeting was anything but the relationship between the three of those men is ridiculous. That had nothing to do with the offense. That had everything to do with relationships. Relationships are what build that offense. Trust. Remember what I've been asking you? Trust. Do these guys trust one another? For them to have a meeting like this, I mean, there's obviously a problem in paradise. Seals, remember what I said after the draft about the Colts? They get the quarterback, they would be a dark horse team. That's right. Well, here they are. Daniel Jones has done a great job. Okay, get this. You see this guy here? Well, what the fuck do you think it is, dude? Sitting around talking about pass routes? And if you are going to have team leadership in the building, talking about the offense, how about the most important part of your offense? Your O-line. Nobody else was in the building? Nobody else was in the meeting. You don't know that. Use your brain, guy. And stop having your head in the sand when we say shit here. Dude, I've been in these meetings. I've been in that kind of environment. When you have a meeting like that, there's a problem between the two cohorts, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. I told you from day one this year that there would be a problem. And here it is. Boom! Again, right. There's a problem between these guys. They're not on the same page. I said it yesterday. They don't trust one another. Okay? Why else would you have a meeting? To talk about pass routes? To talk about running the football? What in your wildest imagination do you think they sat around and talked about for how many hours that they sat and talked about? Route trees? Game plans? So let me get this right, according to some of you. They were talking shit on their coaches, behind the coach's back in this meeting, on all the shit that was going bad. So they were basically talking shit on Nick and the staff. Is that right? Is that what your assumption is? Is that they sat around, Barkley, Hurts, and A.J. Brown talking shit on Nick? Is that what you're saying? And how the offense is not on the same page? How the route trees are not good? You think they sat around? How many hours did they sit around for? How many hours did they sit in this practice? So they sat around for what, 2 hours? Bitching about their coaches? Come on, man. Use your brain. This is a relationship conversation. Because if you were going to talk about the problems that you have with the offense, wouldn't you have the entire unit in? Wouldn't you have brought everyone in? This, guys, we got a problem. Does anybody have a problem with the offense? Why were you bringing in only 3 men? Barkley, AJ, and Hurts. And by the way, Jalen Hurts didn't ask for this meeting. It was Saquon Barkley. I'll say it again. I think Jalen Hurts is not a very good leader. I think Jalen Hurts is a good company man. I think Jalen Hurts believes in what the Eagles' philosophy is and what the front office wants. And I think he's a direct mouthpiece to the front office. Because the front office is what runs this team. Seals, do you think Jalen is taking a page from MJ about how to treat teammates? Meaning winning first, teammates last. Yes, but the difference is they had Phil Jackson. Nick Sirianni's no fucking Phil Jackson. Ask yourself this. Kobe and Shaq were together, right? In Los Angeles. They had Rudy T, Del Harris as coaches. They couldn't get out of their own way. What was the one linchpin that changed the dynamic of the Kobe and Shaq Laker years? They brought in Phil Jackson. And Phil knew how to talk to and knew how to handle personalities. That was the difference. You don't have Phil Jackson. You got Nick Sirianni, who bullshits you every day. You think he's going to handle that? Give me a break. He's a mouthpiece to the organization. Hey, by the way, my wife said something to me the other day about it. 16 million, a great win percentage, going to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Hey, I'm going to walk around also 4'5" on my knees. Bet your ass I'm going to do that. You give me an opportunity to win ball games, be the head coach of the Eagles, 16 million, chance to really have a sensational coaching career. You bet I'm 4'5". I'll be walking around in them Howie Roseman knee pads for the next 10 years if he wanted me to. Absolutely. By the way, I think that's today's NFL coach. I think you've got a lot to deal with when it comes to analytics people, front office. This is not the old days of Don Shula. I'd run the entire thing. The Jimmy Johnsons of the world are dinosaurs. There's not one guy who's the head rooster in the hen house anymore. Take a look at the NFL, how it's run. They've got all these analytic Poindexter dudes who understand the structure and the power structure of these NFL teams. It's a corporate business now. You got general managers to answer to. You've got analytics people who help build game plans. And you got interchangeable coaching and assistant coaches. This is what goes on in the NFL today. And if you don't understand that, you're not going to be coaching in the NFL. You can't be the head rooster anymore and go like this. It's my way or the highway, or you're going to be Bill Belichick coaching at North Carolina. Bill Belichick is not coaching in the NFL. Why? Because Bill wants to do it his way. He wants the personnel run his way. He wants the coaching staff, his selections. He wants everything when it comes to personnel to run through him. Well, guess what? The Atlanta Falcons said no to that and hired Raheem Morris. They said no way. They're not relenting and giving power up to a 70-year-old guy whose ways are antiquated. No fucking way are they doing that anymore. I'm not really ripping Nick. I think Sirianni is a product of today's NFL coaching. Okay? Right? Holy cow, look at this shit. This is spectacular trolling by the head football coach of the New York Giants. What a way to throw a shot across the bow at the Eagles and the Eagle coaching staff, and most notably Nick Sirianni. Brian Dable, with some excellent trolling today at his presser, said, you watch the tape, A.J. Brown is open a lot. That's a shot at your quarterback. That's a direct. The head football coach of the New York Giants took a shit on your starting quarterback today at his presser and said that the quarterback can't find the open dude. How do you not find A.J. Brown? The number one wide receiver in the NFL with 58 receptions. Excuse me, he's 58th in receptions so far on the 5-game season. 58th. How are you doing? A.J. Brown is wide open. And he's a lot in the open. That is just classic shit. That's just classic. Now here, let's go to this special meeting that Saquon Barkley called with the heads of the 5 families so that they could sit down and work their issues out. What are we, 7 years old? Are you fucking kidding me? Paid professionals. One guy makes 50. The other guy makes 20. The other guy makes 36. And I'm sitting around like I'm in kindergarten class. AJ, how are you feeling, son? You okay? I don't give a shit how he feels, really. Hurts, how is the relationship with you and A? What is, honest to God here, man, who the fuck is Saquon Barkley? Like John McMullen said, who's he, Dr. Phil? Are you guys getting along? How are you? How wormy can you be? This is wormy. Isn't this the head coach's responsibility? If there's a problem with personnel not seeing eye to eye or getting on the same page, that's the fucking head coach's job. That's not Saquon Barkley's job. Hey, you guys okay? Are you crazy? My God almighty. You know, I see a little bit of that on my daughter's professional rugby team. I didn't think I would see the same shit on an NFL team. These guys moaning and bitching about who likes me or not? Who fucking cares? My direct deposit every Tuesday is all I'm loyal to. I'm a professional football player. I'm not a professional psychiatrist. Unfucking believable. Who gives a shit about how you feel? Go play your game. And these guys are sitting around for hours talking the most obnoxious nonsense and taking time away on your preparation for the New York Giants. What a bunch of bullshit that is. It sounds like you and M. Ray are sitting in a fucking room talking bullshit about nothing that matters. Sirianni, this is his job. Supposedly hey, if your culture's so good, where's the coach? I keep hearing him tell me how fucking great his culture is. I've seen a guy spit on people this year, and I see 3 guys not getting along. Where's the culture? Where is the culture? Where's this infamous culture that these guys keep telling me you have? You got a player spitting on a guy and 3 guys barking at one another, and you're 4-1, and you're making an anthill into a molehill. What a bunch of losers. That's loser mentality. Dude, you're the defending world. Hey, maybe the problem that Nick had was maybe he should remind them that they're the defending NFL champions. Why don't you remind them, Nick? You're the fucking reigning NFL champions. Act like it. Instead of acting like you're in kindergarten. A.J. Brown is mad because he's treated like the other-sided chick, and he's treated like the other chick. He's on the side chick. I get it. I told you that when Barkley got here, that would happen. The offense is not running through A.J. He doesn't like that. He wants the offense at least to run through both. The Eagles don't believe that. They want to run it through Barkley. Seals, why do you think this meeting was made public? Because, again, a public meeting like this is to show you that the Eagle PR department, and I'm going to make another comment here on this. Dude, it is evident. Anybody who covers that football team was told not to make this meeting about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. All the shit that Brandon Graham said a year ago about their relationships is so dead on true now. It is without a... John McMullen was pressed by Xander all morning. No disrespect to John. He didn't want to answer it. He did not want to go down that lane. Xander's not wrong. If I got a problem with the way the offense is being run, I don't go to fucking Saquon Barkley. I go to Jalen Hurts or the head coach or both. I just sit around, and if people in my offense have a problem, I'm bringing my entire unit with me. Not 2 dudes. This is stupid, man. John's right on this. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And some are going to go like this. Wasn't this needed? What, for everyone to see you guys acting like girls? Are you fucking crazy? I mean, come on here, man. You've got to be kidding. This is awful. Awful, man. I mean, this is just, once again, you know what? And I'm going to take that back when I said girls, because I know rugby teams that are tougher than this bullshit. I'll take that back. I will totally take that back. This is wormy at best. You make $20 million. The other guy makes 50. The other guy makes 36. You just got your Super Bowl rings a month earlier. What the fuck are you doing? Wormy public meetings about feelings. Seriously, man, you guys need to get on the Kimmel show. Hang up there and talk about your problems and why the world's bad or something. I don't know. That's a place for you to go hang out. Holy cow. You got to be kidding me. Honest to God, man. You know, my kid plays on a team that's got some issues with people on it. I didn't think this went to the pro ranks, too. I've never heard of anything such. Doug Pederson, the former head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, a Super Bowl winning coach, who was unceremoniously fired here, will be with us at 3:30. We're going to get to some of the things that caused that. We're going to dive in deep to the organization. Believe me, I thought the Eagles would have stopped this interview. But Doug's on with us at 3:30. He and I got a great relationship. I played against him in the World League and in the NFL. And we're going to talk with each other. That'll be at 3:30. Dude, you got to be kidding me. What do you think? What's the biggest benefit from this? This meeting between the three heads of the family on offense. What's the biggest benefit? What do you think it is? Airing what out? Things we already knew? That the quarterback's not capable of balance? That the coaches don't trust the quarterback to have any balance? You know, I can't tell you how many times people in here post all these psychotic Jalen Hurts stats with him in the passing game and him in the pocket. That's funny. You post all those numbers, and yet the coaching staff doesn't even see them. Or they don't think the guy is that guy, or they'd be doing it. You have no answer to that. When I say Hurts is limited in the pocket, the offense is limited. And then you can start with these numbers. Then why don't they do it? If they're so fucking good in the pocket, why don't they do it? I mean, why don't they? What's the answer? It ain't your run game. Your run game is nowhere to be seen right now. Why don't they do it? Sills, this is how the meeting should have went. Both you MFers need to get over the BS and play like champions. Meeting adjourned. Yes. Yes. That's exactly correct. I'm going to give you a Miami. No, not a Miami. I'm going to give you a Dallas Cowboy meeting that Jimmy Johnson had with two players. And that was Charles Haley and Troy Aikman. These guys had problems in the locker room. Jimmy called them both in and said, here's what we're going to do. You're going to take control of the offense and worry about the offense. You're going to be the defensive leader. Get the fuck out. That was the end of it. Then they went on and won 3 Super Bowls. Get the fuck out. Sitting around for 2 hours, moaning and crying. Why was this meeting even important? To air what out? That you don't trust the quarterback? The receiver doesn't trust the quarterback, and the quarterback doesn't trust AJ? What? Every team has some sort of personality issues, but the responsibility is for the players to resolve it and not make it public and not make it a public spectacle. Correct. So you're telling me these top NFL guys need trust exercises? Good golly. How the game has changed. What's next? The slumber party? Dude, you're a professional. Act like it. That is so unprofessional. A meeting between Barkley, AJ, and Hurts. And it's public. And guess what? The people who covered the team are not supposed to tell you. It was personality driven, not schematically driven. Have you ever heard of a meeting where you went over schematics for a couple hours? When you had guys having problems and issues with each other on the field, personality-wise? Come on. Some of you will believe anything. It's important enough the people are talking about it. Still. Sills, you're killing it again. Can't stand these delusional fans who think everything's fine. Of course they think here, you want to read something that's fine? Watch this. Just read this bullshit. I'm not even going to read it, but just look at this. Just look at that. I mean, everything that is that's wrong with this meeting, this guy just talked about. I haven't even read it, and I know what it is. Everything that you could possibly be the opposite of, that guy just probably posted. It's the most obnoxious shit going. Bob Lang writes his post for him. He is the Bob Lang of JAKIB Sports, is M. Reyes. When you want Bob Lang, I want you from now on to think of M. Reyes. He is without a doubt the Bob Lang of JAKIB Sports. There will never be anything posted negative. It will be without a doubt everything anti on what we're saying. So again, there's no really any need for me to read it again. They were friends prior to ever playing together. AJ's been a more emotional person his whole life. I don't get why this is a big deal. It's not a big deal. They're making it a big deal. I also could see a world where they talked about both. Okay, no. I'm not saying, hey, go Birds. I'm not telling you that they didn't talk about both. I completely agree with you. Okay? AJ and Hurts aren't going anywhere. Stop with the bullshit. I don't know who said anything about it. Somebody probably said something. I don't know. He can't trust the quarterback he had his best season with. Ever since Saquon Barkley got here, A.J. Brown's numbers have gone down. Yes or no? Have they gone down? Yes or no? Since Saquon Barkley got here, Lewis, has A.J.'s targets and numbers gone down since Barkley showed up? Okay. Well, that's what he's pissed at. By the way, I'll say it again like I said it the other day. I don't think that AJ's talking about 170 yards. Okay, I think he's just talking about being involved in the wins. He's not involved in the wins right now. The passing game is not involved in any of the. Get this. The passing game has not been in. Is this a fair take, guys? The passing game with AJ and Devontae have not been involved in the wins this year. They've been involved in the losses, and they have not been involved in the wins. Is that fair? Why didn't they have the offensive line in the meeting? Because this is personality driven. This is about the two dudes. I mean, right? The offensive line. Dude, I agree. Hey, V4P, let me tell you, I agree. I think a lot of this has to do with the offensive line being injured. I completely agree with you. Seals, we make AJ and Hurts' relationship public and add content to it. So why is it bad that they are trying to work it out? I don't know about you, but do you guys take to social media every time you and your wife get into a fight? Or you and your bosses? Or do you try to work it out with your bosses? And do you try to work it out with your wife, the loved ones that you have, and the ones you're trying to get through life together? Do you think do you try to work it out in private? Or do you go to social media to work it out? That's how you work out your social media. I mean, you use social media, right? Don't you try to work it out behind the scene? One loss in a year in all this. I agree. It's unbecoming. Seals, can you ask Doug how big of a difference it makes coaching when the locker room is vibing like 17 compared to when there is a lot of tension? How important or not important is it to get along? Great question. I will ask him that. I will. A.J. Brown acting like he played for a contract next year. He's actually playing like he's playing for a contract next year. Like, chill, bro. You already paid you for your talents. We know you can get the numbers, but you're here to win, not put up numbers. Yeah, well, my friend, I don't really think these guys think like that. AJ has had a lot of problems dealing with this offense mentally. He's had a lot of problems dealing with it. Seals, what's crazy is that if these guys were friends before, why can't they have the fight and move out there and move on? There has to be something else. No, I think it's the offense and Hurts. Can I tell? Hey, Josh, let me tell you what I think it is. I think it's the offense's approach, and I think it's Jalen buying into the front office's approach on how to win games instead of involving AJ. I mean, what games do you think AJ Brown has been involved in the Eagle win? What games this year has he been an integral part of them winning? Can you tell me? Give me one game this year. Give me one game this year that he was involved in the win. The Rams game? Okay. The Rams game. The Rams game. Okay. I mean, they didn't really, we're going to go to the trends right now and we'll take a look at who you are. And you guys will tell me here in a second here about the team, because I'm going to get off this topic and go back to it. But then we're going to take a look at who they are heading into week 6. Okay? See, here, I'll do this guy one time. Never in a million years did I say fucking trade AJ. I said that there were people inquiring about him. And by the way, I showed a fucking text message from a senior executive from the New England Patriots that they had called the Eagles about the availability of A.J. Brown, and his name was Alonzo Highsmith. I showed it to Howard Eskin, I showed it to Angelo Cataldi, and I showed it to Xander Krause. We have called about the availability, fuckbag. Sit in your corner and be quiet, guy. Jesus criminy. Honestly, dude, you are the absolute biggest troll. And I appreciate you constantly posting stupid shit. But you will never be read again. Okay? And if you ever get my attention moving forward from here, you will pay for my attention. Did Doug get to pick Mike Groh as his OC after Frank left? One of the stories about Doug is that he didn't a deep coaching Rolodex. He didn't have a deep Rolodex of coaching names and relied on Howie. So I will ask that question. I think Doug's got a pretty good Rolodex when it comes to coaches. I know that Mike McCoy followed him down to Jacksonville there. Big Sills, it's week 7. And Kevin Patullo still hasn't changed anything. We're waiting on our eventual collapse. I don't believe there's a collapse coming. I don't. Seals, have you ever beefed with Jerome? If so, how'd you guys handle it? We wrestled. We had fistfights. That didn't mean I didn't love him and he didn't love me. We had fistfights numerous times. Good friends have fistfights. Good friends have bitching. Okay? It happens. Especially when you get into a position like that, it's high level winning. Of course you got it. Dude, we used to have wrestling matches in the middle of the Hurricane locker room, and we would get into fistfights in the middle of the field. I've fought Alonzo Highsmith. He's fought me. Michael Irvin fought numerous teammates. worked it out. Okay? You always work it out. You know why? Because at the end, you're trying to have an end goal here. I agree. I don't see 23 here. I don't. Seals, you ever party with Luke? I did. I worked security for 2 Live Crew. And at the end of our college football season every year, Luther Campbell would, he would get the top 2 floors of the Fontainebleau, and he would rent them out. And the ballroom, so we had the ballroom at the Fontainebleau, and we had the top 2 floors at the Fontainebleau at the end of our college football season every year. And he did that for us. And that's why Uncle Luke is a major part of my life and also was a major part of the University of Miami. Just a tremendous dude, man. So Michael Irvin seems like a guy that could get more heated than anyone on the field. And by the way, I'll make a point to you about Michael Irvin. You don't want that dude mad at you. That guy's capable of anything. I mean, you do not want that dude. You just don't. Says Mike, yes. Oh, here, Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin had conversations all the time, but they were just in private. They kept everything private. You know what their attitude was? You know what? I can't believe this Eagle team doesn't have this. When you got shit like this going on, I think it's me against the world. I think like this. Hey, fuck them guys. The media thinks we're mad. They think we're not this. Fuck them. This is us against them. We used to make the media people the enemy. That's what the Cowboys did. They made the media people enemies. They didn't give them fuel for the fire. This is giving them fuel for the fire. I mean, right? Those Cowboy guys hated the media. The teams love covering them, but they didn't sit in front of the cameras giving them shit like this. Okay? That's a good point. Hey, all the haters hit the like button too. I appreciate it. I hope AJ and Jalen said, screw Petula and go rogue. That's counterproductive. That's not what you want to do in a meeting like that. Dude, you get into a meeting and you have a meeting of a couple hours. You can't win without the coaches too. Hey, listen, maybe deep in your mind, you think that way, but you can't just go fuck the coaches. That's what you did in 23, and you will have a meltdown. That's not a way to do it. I mean, you've got to eventually bring the coaches in too. That's why the NFL and football is the ultimate team sport. You can't just go, well, fuck those guys. That's why I say this. This meeting was all about AJ and Hurts. This didn't have anything to do with the injuries to the O-line. This thing didn't have anything to do with Dallas Goedert. This didn't have anything to do with Jahan Dotson. This had nothing. I mean, if you were talking about offense and you were talking about approach, wouldn't you have the entire team involved? Or at least the entire unit? Mulata and hey, ask yourself this question. Would you ever in your life think that you're going to hold a team meeting about your offensive problems without Lane Johnson? Are you going to hold a meeting about offensive approach without Lane Johnson? Yes or no? Are you going to go, let's have a meeting without Lane? If this thing wasn't about the characters, so you're going to have a meeting without Dickerson and Lane about the offense, and the central piece of the offense is the O-line, and you're going to exclude those dudes. Why? Because you're better than them? Those dudes are discussing the relationships between the three of them, I would think. Remember I said this last week to you? I thought it was funny that Barkley came out and said, I got my guy AJ's back. I didn't hear him say he had Hurts's back. I heard Devontae say, I've got AJ's back. I didn't hear him say anything about Jalen Hurts. Did you? As a matter of fact, I didn't hear anybody come to Jalen Hurts' side by saying, hey, I'm following my quarterback. I heard everybody on the side of AJ Brown. Did you not? As a matter of fact, I haven't heard one person disagree with AJ. Jordan and Pippen can't stand each other, but they respected each other. Of course, Jordan says, look at all the championships I've won. I've won, and Scottie Pippen is right there with me. He couldn't win a championship without Scottie Pippen. He never did. He needed Scottie Pippen. Just like Jabbar needed Magic or Oscar Robertson. This is a team telling you that they know they aren't good enough to repeat, Sills. This shit right here is exactly to that point. You're worrying about this and not worrying about the Giants? Your next opponent? And you're talking about wormy shit like this. We need to worry about the O-line is the problem. The Eagle O-line is a sieve right now. They were destroyed by the Denver Broncos. You did it. Get this. So in a fight, you fought the Denver Broncos and they were up. Get this. My wife went and walked her dog for about 30 minutes, 20 minutes. She came back. The Broncos were winning. I mean, they absolutely rolled you up. I mean, okay, get this. Here's a perfect take. Sills is once again starting fires in Philly. Okay, you tell me. I'm not the one that called the wormy meeting between the three donkeys so that we could find out whose love life is better and who loves who better and who loves who most. This is wormy. You're professional football players. I don't give a fuck if you love somebody. You're in the building because they drafted you, they signed you, they recruited you, what have you. You're in there to play professional football. My dealings with you as an individual, that's irrelevant. You don't have to like your teammate. You have to play with your teammate. And you have to respect your teammate. I've seen so many teams that don't respect teammates. They'll tell you they like you, but they don't respect you. The great teams, they may not all get along with one another and hang out and share bedtime stories, but those teams always win. Look at Belichick and Brady. Those guys never played a round of golf. They never went to lunch once in his 20 years in New England. But you know what they did do? They won a boatload of football games, 35 postseason games, 6 Super Bowls. 9 times they went to that game. And now their relationship is 10 times better after the fact. I hate the guy that reported this meeting now. Now we hear nonstop speculation about it. Well, let me ask you something. Who told that guy? Somebody in the building said it. It was either Hurts, AJ, Barkley, or Bob Lang. One of those four people said it. Pick one. And then, you know how Bob can get around it? He goes to the people that cover the team and goes, hey, this meeting was about the offense, not about the relationships between Hurts and AJ. They're trying to control it. See, I don't think Bob knew this was going to get out. And now he's trying to control it. This is 2 weeks in a row of cleanup of Bob Lang. 2 weeks in a row. Last week it was AJ's walk back and apology. Get this. Remember, like last week, I told you guys, I think Xander was saying, hey, he apologized. Everything's, I go, are you under the impression we're not going to hear anything again? Are you under the impression that this is, I thought this was put to bed last week. What happened? Now we've got private meetings. Obviously, last week wasn't put to bed. Here we are again. Week 2, as the Eagle drama turns. You tell me. This is week 2 now. This is week 2 of the, actually, it's longer than week 2. I mean, but guys, here we are again. And you got a game in 2 days. You guys think AJ is going to call in to WIP to complain again? Not yet. That's still to come. And those worms over there will probably tell you how you feeling, son. Like, who gives a shit? Says, do you think Howie will get involved? Howie is involved. He's involved through Nick. Hey, by the way, how do you think your Super Bowl head coach is handling this whole thing with AJ and Hurts? How do you think he's handling it? Oh, and by the way, did you get a load of that press conference yesterday where nobody really addressed all this? Man. I am very thankful I work at JAKIB that I don't have anybody telling me what the fuck to say. I am so thankful because I could not work in Philadelphia. Boy, you're damn right. I could never be on the radio in that market because I'd be off the air in 5 seconds because they wouldn't like what I said, which means you're never going to get on the radio airways in Philly what you get here, which is the honest truth. IP's an echo chamber. I see you down there, HK. It is an echo chamber. Saquon likely said they are not leaving until this BS is settled, even if fits have to be thrown. Saquon probably brought in the chick, too, that it's all over. It's no chick. There's no chick that it's over. This is you know what the chick is? It's the offensive approach. That's the chick. Seals, you think J-Mac is going to have a target on his back in the building for his comment? What comment? About Hurts? I happen to agree. We've said that here and for 4 years. Dude, thank you very much, senor. I'll take Nick over Tomlin any day of the week. Really. And what job does Nick Sirianni have? What job does he have? Cleaning up shit like this? Hiring coaches like Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo? I can promise you Mike Tomlin's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Sirianni is going to the Hall of George Seifert. He said Hurts is Carson Wentz, but without the religion. Yeah, he'll get heat for that. And that's a strong opinion, which we value here. That's a fucking great take. You know what that's telling you? Nobody likes him. John, who's around that team, is telling you nobody likes him. Or half the room likes him. That's what that thing means to me. That Jalen Hurts. Hey, by the way, you see these guys saying this? Hey, do you think after a lot of success and a lot of fame, you think that could change a person? Yes or no? You think that could change a guy? If a lot of success? You think that, after time you start, buying into your success and it could change you? Have you ever seen money change people? Guy gets a lot of money, it changes his personality. Have you ever seen that? Don't think that he's adverse to that, Jalen Hurts. Face Jordan, hanging out on the Riviera with Jordan. You got people like Joe Krause going like this. Jalen is so up here. And everybody and us little minions are looking up, trying to get the pieces in the locker room for our high and mighty Jesus Christ Savior, Jalen Hurts. Is that what you're saying? Wow. All hail Hurts. Is that what we're doing? I never in my life ever heard Brady act like that. By the way, I'm not suggesting that. That was an impression that Joe Krause had on him. That Jalen is so up here and everybody's all down there. Hoss, we're in this together. This ain't tennis or bowling. We're in this together here. You're in the same boat with me, dude. You don't have your own private rowboat if the Titanic hits the iceberg. You're going down with us. Okay? This is right here. You're going down with us, bro. You are going down with us. You ain't up here. Who the hell do you think you are? Oh, that's right. You're the face of fucking Jordan. Sorry, kid. I don't know how that wins me any football games. Seals, if Wentz beats us next Sunday, this chat's going to explode. I don't know. The kid McCarthy may get back. All right? Jacob Sports definitely not what your pop was saying, but Sills can find a way to make anything terrible. Really? Well, you and your fucking football team can find a way to make the smallest fucking little thing into a mountain. Xander's right. You lost one fucking game. Act like it. It's one game. One game. What are we doing here? One game. One game. I think it is. Hey, Pump, you in here? Of course. Wait a minute. Oh, my God. Do you think this is all over jealousy? Thank you, finally. Do you think this whole thing's over jealousy? This is some Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson shit. Hurts has such an ego. Do you think this is over jealousy? Could be. Is this over jealousy? Yes or no? You're stirring shit up. Okay. So he says this is not jealousy. Okay. What ended the Cowboy dynasty between Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones? Ego. Okay. What ended Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls run with Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause? Bulls. Ego. What got Shaq and Kobe split up in Los Angeles? Lakers. Ego. What in the end got fucking Brady and Belichick broken up? Patriots. Ego. Do you want me to continue? Do you want me to continue? Because I can. There's mountains of examples. How about this? Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan in Chicago. That ego. They won one Super Bowl. How about Buddy Ryan and his ego against Norman Brayman? Not want to work with the owner. Ego. Hurts is like Saban. Get with it or get lost. Yeah, well, guess what? This ain't Alabama. When you've got 5 first-round draft choices sitting behind Hurts. This ain't college football. Starting players and star players, I'm assuming, want to be the best in the NFL at what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be star players. And he needs the ball to do that. Yeah, but I'm not going to get A.J. Brown the ball just to make him feel better about himself. I'm not throwing A.J. Brown stupid targets that mean nothing. Look at this. I don't give 10 fucks about Jalen Hurts. To like him is irrelevant. I could care less. I fall in like with players. You fall in love with them. I don't give a shit what the name on the back of the jersey is. It's about winning football. Who cares? What do you, like, fall in love with your players? I thought you represented the Eagles, not Hurts. Give a fuck about him. Next guy up. The Eagles will be the Eagles with or without Hurts 10 years from now. Who cares? Dan, you and J-Mac both hate Hurts. I could give a shit about Jalen Hurts whether I like him or not. Especially, John McMullen doesn't hate Jalen Hurts. Gossiping like a bitch? No, guy. Wrong dude. Those are the guys bitching. Those are the guys that called the wormy meeting. Me? What do you think I did? I called some wormy-ass meeting about love affairs between 3 players? Oh, yeah, that's what I did. 3 players trying to work out their differences like they're going on dates. How wormy. Why would I throw a ball to a guy that stops running? Get this. You see this right here? Mike, I'm going to make an example out of it. Okay? Not out of you. Thank you for the super. It's Jalen Hurts' responsibility to go to A.J. Brown and say, listen, if we got a problem, I want to know what it is. Because people are saying that you stopped on that route. Now, if you're telling me you lost it and you were not tracking the ball right, since when is that an issue with A.J.? A.J. Brown not tracking a football? Since when? Since the Bronco game? I've never heard of such an excuse. You're making an excuse that A.J. Brown couldn't track the ball. Where did you get that line from? In all the years that AJ's been an Eagle, that's the first time I've ever heard AJ didn't track a football. Really? Are you really going to use that as an excuse? AJ couldn't track the football. Since when is that? I mean, I've never heard such a thing. I mean, they're making all kinds of fucking excuses up. I got you, Bird fan. Oh, that John said yeah, no. I think it was more about AJ Brown thought he was going to underthrow it. And he stopped on the route. And they're not on the same page. So you're trying, get this, a guy who wants targets. Ask yourself this about, I heard Xander say something too about the route and him stopping. Ask yourself something here. Since he gets so limited targets sent to him, you really think that he thought that he would sabotage that route, knowing full well he may not get another one for another quarter, that he would just bail on that route for a guy who wants 14 targets a game? You really thought he would do that? I don't. I think that guy wants to take advantage of every opportunity he gets because they're so limited now. Why would he stop on that? He stopped on it because he doesn't trust the quarterback. And I think the quarterback doesn't trust him. And that's why this meeting was started. Hey, isn't it funny? I brought this up to Xander and all of you. You think the quarterback trusts AJ and AJ trusts him? Nobody wants to hear it. Then the meeting was called, and here we are. It's got nothing to do with schematics on how you go about and approach the offense. It's got everything to do with those two dudes, and you know it. Look, if I had a problem with the offense, the entire unit would have been in that meeting with me, and I would have went around the room and said, I want to hear everybody. And most notably, not Barkley leading the meeting. It should have been Hurts. Doug Pederson's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. These weirdo fans do this to every player. Just a bunch of fucking weirdos. Now it's everybody hates AJ. I don't hate AJ Brown whatsoever. No way. I'm not mad at him. Dude, you know who AJ Brown is. You've got to manage that as a quarterback. That's like saying, wait a minute here. Jalen Hurts is not managing AJ Brown well. That's on Jalen Hurts. The same way it was on Donovan McNabb not handling T.O. It's just a different way. They're just different creatures, these four men. I asked you, do you remember me saying this? Do you think that AJ and Hurts will get to T.O. and McNabb levels? This is kind of like it. Meetings public. Guys not getting along. The difference here is you're winning. And you're winning enormously. I mean, enormously you're winning. So, Big Sills, you're telling me it's week 7 and the whole offense isn't on the same page. What the fuck is going on? It's the offensive line not being healthy. This comes down to that. I told you a year ago, and I told you this year, if your run game and Saquon Barkley, the entire offseason, I said, if Barkley doesn't go for $2,000 again, it's going to expose your offensive approach. And it did. And it has. I'm going to show you who you are in a minute. Hurts and Brown can't be the bigger men and approach each other. So the quarterback is not a leader here with this comment. Mikey, thanks for the super. So the quarterback doesn't see the problem? Jalen was just going to let it go on? He doesn't see this thing was deteriorating at a rapid pace, this relationship, which has affected the locker room? So let me get this right. 3 captains call a meeting. This is not like 3 guys that were numbers 48 or 47, 48, and 49 on the roster having problems with playing time. These are the elite guys on your team. And they felt that they would have a 3-person meeting, excluding everyone else, and talk about offensive schematics. Okay, well, the job for offensive schematics is Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni. What are you guys going to do? Draw up a game plan in those 2 hours of meetings that you have and then hand it to the coaches? Is that what you did? Or did you talk about each other getting along and doing things that we need to do to get this offense going? Don't overthink this. They had a meeting because they can't stand one another right now. Say it. Why is everybody in Philly such a why are they such a cover for the actual visual problem that you know that's going on? The players are having problems with one another. Hey man, get this. That doesn't mean I don't love you and want to work with you. If you got a problem with me, let's fucking air it out. Let's not air it out publicly, though. You know? Let's not go publicly with this. So let me show you who the Eagles are trending as right now. Okay? Well, here's who you are after 5 games. 20 quarters of football is a good trend. Offensively, total offense, you're 30th. Passing, you're 31st. Rushing, you're 25th. Scoring, you're 12th. Red zone, you're number 1. Third down, you're 23rd. All the 3 and outs. Wow. That's pretty pathetic. And you're 4-1. Kudos. You ain't a 4-1 football team. Because here's why. Total defense, you're 20th. Passing, you're 15th. Rushing, you're 22nd. Scoring, you're 16th. Look at the margin you have. Scoring offense, you're 12th. Scoring defense, you're 16th. Look at the margins you have there. You're giving up as many points almost as you're scoring. You're actually giving up more points than you score. Red zone D, 3rd. Third down defense, you're 9th. Very good, by the way. So you got the 20th ranked total offense, and you've got the 20th ranked total defense after 5 ball games. That's who you are. Now, the offense. What's the problem? Well, your passing game will never be a consistent passing game because you don't develop the quarterback. Your run game is not anywhere near where it was a year ago. It's exposing your passing game. And I say this is things to come. You see that third down where you're 23rd? If that doesn't improve and it continues to get worse, and you become one of the even worst teams on third down, that means your defense is back on the field. And if you continue to lead the NFL in 3 and outs, I'd say by week 9, that defense will be a train wreck. They got to get some sustained drives going. Throwing the ball is not sustained drives. That football team has to run the ball better, not throw it better. They're never going to throw it better on a consistent basis. That is not who they are. Chip Kelly revisited? Absolutely true. That's a formula for it. Chip wanted to get 75 to 80 plays. When I heard that, I was like, that's unattainable in the NFL. Why? Because you don't have a 100-man roster like you do in college. You got a 53-man roster, 4 or 5 critical injuries, that season's over. Get this. These aren't stats. These are trends, dude. It's 20 quarters of football. These are the same numbers that Vic Fangio has up on his board right now in the team meeting room on where you are is exactly what I just put. You know exactly where you are right now. You have team objectives every year on what you're looking. Keep teams under 19 points. Try to keep them under 275 yards total offense. Try to win on third down. You got all these game goals that you and individual weekly goals you try to hit. Okay? Get this. You told us Liars Month. Okay? Get this. The one loss record's Liars Month. Yeah, the one loss record is Liars Month. Not what you're doing on a quarter basis. Dude, this is 20 quarters of football here now. It's early. There's injuries. Injuries are playing more of a factor in this than injuries and skill. Yeah, the records are Liars Month. Yes. The 3 and outs are killing the defense. It's not sustainable. The collapse will happen again if this is not fixed. I still don't buy that there will be a collapse like we saw in 23. Is it panic button time? Absolutely not. No way. Panic button? Who's talking like that? I'm not talking to you about panic button. Okay? What in the fuck? Dude, you're so bad. Your constant scapegoating of trivial notions is the liars. What is that part? Folks, let me ask you something here. Let me show you how dumb this dude is. Vic Fangio said today in his meetings, we build the game plan on what we've done so far, on what we're capable of doing and not, and where we are right now trending on. We take the game tape of what the Giants have done for the last 2 games with Dart playing. According to this fucking idiot, they just say, well, the last 2 games that Dart played doesn't matter. So they don't even watch the game film. And the plays that he might like, the plays he doesn't like, the formations he likes, the formations he doesn't like. How fucking dumb is this guy? It's the only way to build a game plan on who you are. So wait a minute. The offense right now, That do you think there's plays right now that the Eagles don't want to run that they've been running with the injuries to the O-line that they want to get away from over the first 20? Guy's a fucking buffoon, man. Seriously, he is the Bob Lang of the Eagles here at JAKIB. It's great content because everything he says is wrong. Vic out-coaching the whole staff. Why do you think that is, 90? Because you know why? He doesn't have a lot of roosters in the hen house. He's got clarity. Seals, in your honest opinion, what does this mean for our future? Is someone getting traded? Are we out of Super? No, you're not out of Super Bowl contention. Oh, it's one loss. The organization and the players are making more of it than needs to be made. John McMullen is dead on with that. Okay? This is very simple how we're employed. Because we're not fucking bandwagon people like you have in that weirdo station owned by that guy Soros, WIP. That's how. And because of you posting shit like that. And Doug Pederson coming on in about 9 minutes. The reason why Becton was so good on the inside is because he had arms the length of a tackle. It totally worked out that way. I saw a post saying the refs that officiated the game got suspended. Is that true? I haven't seen that. Ego is the devil's greatest tool. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So here's who you are right now. Like I said to you, and like Dumb Reyes posted, September was a liar's month. That 4-1 record, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But what you've done as a unit in 20 quarters, this is what you're capable of doing right now. Does that mean you're going to be the same team in September? No. You might get healthier. Guys may step in and up their game. That's why what we're saying right now, October 7th, these guys might get healthier. Barkley may break out against the Giants. Hey, I'm counting on it. You know, I'm assuming he wants to go out there and have a great game against his former team to continually show Joe Schoen what an asshole he was. Absolutely. Dude, this is a Barkley game. Oh, by the way, do the Giants have a shot to beat you? Not really, but all your BS this week, they've got a pretty good front seven. The quarterback is a run and gun guy. They don't really have any wideouts. I don't know. You know, I mean, they're kind of like the Broncos, but not as good. They want to run the ball. They want to play defense. You know, they want to get Dart out in space. I don't think so. I know it's a division rival. But, I mean, yeah. Seals, their front seven is being wasted with a shitty franchise. Their secondary is not very good. That's for damn sure. Giants lost Neighbors. I doubt it. Yeah, no. When they lost Malik Neighbors, I'm with you. I don't know who they're throwing the ball to. Giants have the same chance as the 49ers have beating your Bucks. Beating my Bucks? Okay. The Buccaneers are 4-1 with all their injuries. And I think Mayfield is playing great football. And I do think the 49ers, again, with Mac Jones, it's going to be an interesting ball game. Sure. I think the 49ers have a great chance to beat them. I like the kid from Arizona State. But again, I don't really see a lot there in New York. But who knows, man? been a lot of drama in Philly 2 weeks now. Okay? Doug Pederson likes talking Eagles trash, especially after a loss. I think he's paying JAKIB to talk. Yeah, that's what I do. What do I charge? Ice Cube too? I've never charged a person in my life or paid a person in my life to come on my show. Ever. Ever. That includes Tony Dungy. That includes Todd Bowles. That includes general managers who have been on this program and head coaches. I don't pay anybody. They come on because they want to come on. Sills, when are they going to start changing the turf at MetLife? Costing a lot of careers up there, isn't it? He said that after the game. Oh, okay. Yeah, I pay Joy Taylor, who I started her career. Okay. I started Joy Taylor's career. I pay her now? Okay, yeah, that's cool. You call bullshit? What? That I didn't start her career? She was my producer. You could tell that a lot of y'all out there not from Philly because y'all crying after one loss. I'm with that. One loss? I mean, shouldn't. Yeah, but I will say this, though, my friend. The Eagles are moaning about it, too, after one loss. I call bullshit. Sileo always pays for it. Hey, kid, go sit in the corner now with your cellophane hat. You're done. I'll take you out of potty lessons here when I feel fit. Just go sit in your little corner here with your cellophane hat on. Okay? We'll call on you next when you behave yourself and you stop acting like a crazy guy. So we'll take you out of timeout here in a minute. Got to put some of you guys in timeout because some of you guys are idiots. Hell, some of the best sports talkers in here are the women. Some of the worst sports talkers are the men known as women. Eagles O-line did exceptionally well considering we led the league in sacks. Wouldn't you think or no? Sills, O-line did exceptional well considering we led the league in sacks. Wouldn't you think? They gave up 6 sacks to the Broncos. Broncos were number 1 in sacks coming in. And the Broncos were number 1 in sacks leaving. You tell me how well you think you did. No, I'm calling you. It could easily be 4 losses if it wasn't for blocking field goals and drop passes. That's to M. Reyes' point. September's a liar's month. Sounds like no one else is saying how shitty the O-line is playing. Senor, it is. It absolutely is. There's no doubt about it. There is no doubt. Angry? I'm enjoying my life. Angry. You're assuming that you upset me, my friend. Where would get you to think that you would have the balls like that I would be upset by like anything you said? Why would I be upset with that? All right. I got to tell you, man, I got a history with Doug Pederson, and I'm going to lay it out for him here. Before he comes on here, I've been dying. So I sent a message to my boy, Frank Wright. Frank and I were teammates, as some of you know, and he's been on the program numerous times. When he was the Colts head coach, I believe we had him on when he was the Carolina Panthers head coach. He was my teammate at Maryland before I transferred to the University of Miami. And we've been friends for over 40 years. And I love the guy. And I go, I got to get Doug Pederson on. I took this guy, picked him up, dropped him on his bonnet when he was with the New York, New Jersey Knights. Is that what that thing was? Then I played against him when he was in the NFL. And so I go, by the way, was Sirianni out there in San Diego with you and you were the coordinator out there as the wide receiver coach and McCoy was the head coach? He goes, yeah. I go, so what is it with you and Doug and Frank because I think McCoy was with Doug in Jacksonville, and he was down there with him. So you guys got this like circle here. It's like the circle of trust. And so everybody in Philadelphia has been texting me. They go, make sure you please tell Doug Pederson how much we love him and how much that city loves him. Without further ado, the former head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, world champion, has a statue up front of Lincoln Financial. And, man, I can't wait to talk to him. Doug Pederson joins us now here. Coach, how you doing, man?
Dan, hey man, can you? I'm doing great. I'm doing just fine. Just so good to be on your show.
Man, I got to tell you, Doug, we know so many people that that have intertwined with. I know that you love Frank, and Frank has talked. God, he loves you so much. That was one of the iconic years in Eagle history. You guys winning that Super Bowl. You guys were all connected here, and I was just wondering, take us back here for you building a coaching staff and building that staff up. For you, give me some of the memories that go back to that year of 17. That was some of the things that stuck out the most to you that season.
Yeah, well, first of all, Dan, when you're putting a staff together, obviously you want the best coaches, you want the best teachers, and really the best people. And that's why one of the reasons why I hired Frank Reich. And Frank and I played in the National Football League, as around the same time, because we were all in the league at the same time.
Yep.
And then we both got into coaching, and we were both quality control coaches, and kind of working our way up the ladder and this, that, and the other. And he was in San Diego with Coach McCoy, and just as you mentioned, and then he got let go there, and I was hired in Philadelphia, and he was one of the really the first person I thought of to be my offensive coordinator, and the rest was history. He came out in 16 with me, and then of course in 17. We won the championship in Philadelphia, and just a guy like Frank Reich, smart football mind, but more than that, just a great person, a great human being, somebody that really poured himself into the organization, poured himself into obviously the quarterback room, the offense, myself included. I couldn't have asked for a better coordinator to start my coaching career than Frank Reich.
Coach, I had Frank on a couple months ago, and he told me that the Eagles were doing this behind the scenes, and we're always so thankful for him to give us some insight. The Eagles were carving out a role for him on coming back as an assistant. He didn't want to be the offensive coordinator. He wanted to wait a little bit because that had gone to Kevin Patullo, and he made it very clear that he doesn't want to be an offensive coordinator again. So I asked him the other day if he was going to come back in some type of role as a consultant. And he said, we're working on that because this is an interim job for him right now because of Andrew Luck wanted him to go in there. They're going to get a new coach. What do you think, if it does happen, Coach, what do you think he brings to a table when it comes to having a Frank Reich in the room, not as the offensive coordinator, but as a role that he could help the coaching staff like Nick?
I think the biggest thing in that role, and I've thought about this too, even in my current situation, being out of football and just kind of seeing things from as they say, that 30,000 foot perspective, right? You don't have to coach a position. You're not coaching the offense. You're not putting game plans together. So you don't have that pressure and that stress of doing that every single week. You get to see things with a little bit calmer eyes. Frank's a highly intelligent football coach. He's very smart. He can add value to what they're already doing. And I know one of his expertise, or I would say one of his strengths, obviously, is the run game, and knowing the run game inside and out. There's something there. He could give them a nugget, and just give them something that they could build on in the run game. And I just think if it does come to fruition, I think somebody like Frank, the value that, and then of course being back with Nick too, I think having that relationship with Nick just really, I think somebody that you, as a head coach, you want somebody that you can trust, somebody that you can that's not coaching that position or coaching that offense or defense, that you can just bounce ideas off of. And a role like that for Frank, I think would be ideal and would just be a huge benefit to Coach Sirianni and the rest of the Eagles.
Coach, did the Eagles ever approach you at being some type of consultant to them? Did they ever And have they in the last couple of years come to you and said in a consulting role, and maybe Nick has as well, because he's always looking for quality people that have other ideas. Did they ever come to you and ask you in some type of role to be a consultant?
I'm shaking my head yes, but actually no. They didn't. They did not. I think too, because I was a head coach there. I don't know if that's. I don't know. I don't know what the.
Would you have considered it?
What's that?
Would you have considered it?
I probably would have. I probably would have considered that. I think too, though. I don't know what the protocol is for former head coaches going back to their place where they won a championship, right? Coach there for 5 years. If that's something that is the right thing to do. And I had opportunities this past year to do that same thing with other teams, and I just wasn't in a good frame of mind at the time to do that. But Philadelphia is always going to be a special place for me and in my heart, and the first championship in Eagles history, obviously Super Bowl 52, and for that city. So they have not approached me with that, but I'm always leaving the door open for future opportunities.
How about this one here? Do you like the fact that the Eagles, and correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, I talk to Tony Dungy all the time. He's been on the program, and I said to him, I go, what was part of the problem that you had at the very end with the Buccaneers? And he said, I wanted to keep Clyde Christensen. And it was just a give or take kind of scenario. And, before you know it, he goes, look, if we're going to go down that route, within a matter of 2 hours after my show was done that time, he had the coach job. So he was all good. But are you glad to see that Nick is getting a little more autonomy at the Kevin Patullos and some of the coaches that he's been able to bring in, whereas maybe that was more of a tougher putt for you, where you had to kind of go back and forth with management and sell the guys that you wanted? Are you glad to see that direction, and that has kind of changed there in Philadelphia with the head coach?
I am, because just about a year or so ago, 2 years ago, I think in Philadelphia, I think they might have been looking for a new head coach and might have moved on from Nick, but I'm so happy that they stuck with him. I'm so happy that they have built a team that he can control, that he can build around. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, we know, I was there when we drafted Jalen Hurts, and he's obviously the franchise and has done an outstanding job there, and working extremely well with Nick. And but yeah, I'm excited to see. To see Nick thrive. He's, I know exactly what he went through, when there were some dark times there, when I think they were talking about, possibly firing him and things of that nature. I mean, that's a real thing in the National Football League. That's a real thing. And especially in the city of Philadelphia, it's a tough place to work. It's a tough place to obviously win games, but you know what? He stuck it out. I'm glad they stuck with him because now he has a championship as well, and he's got a really good football team to continue to coach.
Coach, is this becoming an NFL thing now where analytics, when you and I were in the game, coaches had gut feeling, and dude, I'm going to ask you about Philly. It's my favorite play in the history of football. I mean, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute, but how much today do you think these head coaches have to deal with analytics, general managers, the owner, and all of that, where you have to get and be on the same page with them? Like Frank told me that they get analytics in Philadelphia. We build our game plan with some of the analytics that we get from Julian and those guys. And to me, that would be, for a guy like you, that might be a tough putt to sit there and get that and build a game plan on, where some of the guys today, I think, have taken, I don't want to say bent the knee to that, but I think you have to bend the knee to that a little bit today to be a coach today in the NFL. How hard was that for you to take the analytics that you're getting, implement them in a game plan, and go, we're going with that? Because I can tell you, Philly was not analytics.
No, that was truly not an analytic play in that case, in that scenario. But analytics to me is definitely a tool. It's definitely a resource that can help and assist in game, help head coaches to make really good decisions. It can really also help you, I think, in game planning from the standpoint of your personnel. Who's the only thing that analytics really does not really, I think, help you is it doesn't factor in injuries. It doesn't factor in, who's going to be up that week, who could potentially be up. I think it's more about the numbers and just crunching the numbers. And then obviously at the end of the day, the computer, will spit out a report. But I do think that it can help you with your personnel and making the most of your personnel choices throughout the course of game planning during the week. Whether that's, I got to have 3 tight ends this week or 2 tight ends, or I got to have an extra receiver this week, or maybe this is the week I have an extra, defensive back in the game because of the way the offensive opponent that we're playing for whatever reason. So I think there's some of that really can help you game plan during the week. But a lot of it too, I mean, for me, it was a lot of, decisions I made in game were gut feel decisions. It's based on how is the team responding? How is the team playing? And I want to be able to look at a player in his eyes and go, how do you feel right now? Do you feel good about this play? Are you a little banged up? I got to get you out of the game, and things of that nature. And I just think that it's definitely a positive resource and a positive tool that can assist. But at the same time, you really have to focus in on your players, your team, where you are. And you've heard the phrase, be where your feet are. Well, that you kind of have to be where your team is at that time in order to make those decisions. And at 17, we had a chance to make a lot of the 4th down decisions. We did a lot of 2-point conversion decisions, and some of it was analytical based, but a lot of it too was based on how we were doing as an offense and a defense. And that goes a long way, I think, with every head coach that is dealing with with the analytical side of things.
Coach, you mentioned something where your team is right now. A lot of drama going on in Philadelphia between the wide receiver, the quarterback. There was a team meeting that was called that was made public. I mean, how much is that on the head coach to sit there and see that? Because to me, I'm looking at, you and I have been former players, so that to me was more about personality driven than whether or not it's schematics and how we're approaching going about playing offense. Because I would have the offensive line and everybody else, Dallas Goedert, in the room with us asking their opinion. So this had to be personality driven. What's the responsibility of a head coach to remind them, you're the defending champs, you're 4-1? What's the role of the head coach here in this?
Yeah, I think, Dan, I think you're absolutely right. It'd be my and Nick probably did the same thing, and I would do the same thing. Like, guys, understand this. We before this past weekend, we're 4-0. We've won our first 4 games. Yeah, they've been close, but you know what? We found a way to win. And do we need to get better as a football team? Yeah, we need to get better as a football team. We need to improve. So that's got to be the message, right, to your football team. And we got to continue to work hard, and we got to put in the time, and we got to sacrifice and make all these, choices. But look, sometimes, the players can get together and really too, I think the players see it, the players feel it. They know. I mean, you've been in a locker room before. You know exactly when we're struggling as a team, and gosh, we know we can play better than what we're doing. But yet, we're still 4-0 or now 4-1. But, we got a lot of football ahead of us, a lot of things to fix. So, these player meetings can be good if they're directed in the right way and if the right people are leading it. But at the same time, I'd have to lean on the head coach, his messaging to the football team, and say, guys, yeah, we do have some work ahead of us. We have to improve in these 2, 3, 4 areas, whatever, but just be mindful. We're 4-1. We're still on top of the NFC East. We're still one of the top teams in the NFC. A lot of games ahead of us. So I think that's the messaging that Nick probably, said to his football team. But at the same time, I think players too can clear the air just a little bit, especially if that elephant in the room is bigger than the team.
For you, without a doubt here, how would you say that this the biggest regret that you had? And I'm sure that there's a few others here, but do you think one of the biggest regrets that you had is that you didn't get a chance to develop Jalen Hurts? That you didn't get a chance because, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, and please do if here. I thought when you guys drafted him, he was going to be the safety belt, the seat belt to Carson Wentz. I didn't see him as the guy who was going to be the guy. The organization had just given him a $30 million a year deal. I mean, they were going to have this guy, and I thought he was going to be the seatbelt. Now, we always see guys that you draft in the – look at Russell Wilson. He evolved into being a starter. So you saw what Kirk Cousins did with RG3. All of that sometimes plays itself out. Go take me back on what you saw with Hurts. Are you surprised where he is? And is that a regret you didn't get a chance to coach him?
So going back, obviously, we drafted Carson Wentz to be the guy, right? In my first year in 2016, we drafted Carson Wentz. He's going to come in, be the starter, and we're going to hang our hat on Carson Wentz. We didn't expect him to get hurt, things of that nature. But, having played the position, you really need two quarterbacks in the National Football League. You need two guys that are very capable of going in and winning football games. One, obviously, your starter, and then a competent backup. So when we get to the draft and get a chance to draft Jalen Hurts, that was our mindset. Our mindset was to bring in a young kid that we can groom, that we can get him ready to be the backup behind Carson, learn from Carson for a couple years. And then whenever Carson steps aside, however many years away that is, now you've got another guy that you've been grooming that can take over. Or if Carson were to get hurt, there's Jalen Hurts, because we obviously won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback, a veteran backup quarterback in Nick Foles. And so going through the draft process that spring, my gosh, just doing the homework on Jalen, talking to coaches, talking to former teammates of his, just, doing our due diligence as an organization, felt really comfortable. This guy's a winner. This is, to me, I had a chance to work out Russell Wilson when he was at the University of Wisconsin. And I came away from that interview and that workout, much like Nick Foles, saying, if we get a chance to draft one of these guys, we need to draft him, because this player has that it factor, right? Well, Jalen has that it factor. He's all ball, man. He is all business. He wants to win. He wants to win bad. And I think, too, some of it is probably the circumstances that he was faced at Alabama. Yep. He got, Nick Saban benched him. He comes back. He sticks with Alabama. He comes back the next year and basically gets them through, I believe, the SEC championship game. I think the following season, he could have easily left after getting benched by, and Tua takes over, whatever. He easily could have left, but he stuck it out. Then he finishes that year. He goes to Oklahoma, and he has a really good year at Oklahoma. And so just, I think all of that really is motivation for Jalen. He's always, to me, he's probably always been the underdog. He's probably always had, he's not the biggest kid. He doesn't have the best arm. There's all this stuff he's listening to. Well, all of that is fuel for the fire, for Jalen Hurts. And so, we draft him in 20 and make him our number 2. And then ultimately at the end of the season, I made a decision to start him for the last 4 games. And I did that. But I do. I wish I would have had an opportunity to coach him, past that year, and, to see where, obviously, how he's grown. It's been fun to watch his career from afar. I talk to him from time to time just to encourage him and I wish him well. But you do kind of look back and go, man, if you had a chance to put your hands on that guy, hopefully he would have the same success that he's having now, and win another championship. But those are things that happen. It's the National Football League. We come and go as coaches, but that was one player that I wish I could have had a chance to really coach.
It's funny, Coach. Sounded like a guy I know with the journey that he went on, and maybe that was one of the things that attracted you to Jalen Hurts was, I like journeys too. Jaden Daniels went on this journey with Arizona State, and we had Herm Edwards on, and we were talking about people that have been on ups and downs and ebb and flows in their careers, and maybe like yourself, who was that guy too when he played, had those ebb and flows. Maybe that's what attracted you to Jalen Hurts, was because you saw a little bit in him, and you knew that what these kind of people are made of because you like those journeys.
You're probably right, Dan. I mean, you look at that and you go, you're kind of faced with adversity most of your career. You've had to work for everything that you've earned and gotten in the National Football League. And I think Jalen feels the same way. He's had to earn every everything, right? Nothing was ever handed to him. Nothing was ever handed to me. So I think there's some parallels there, you know, and just a great young man to see him come into that organization and learn from Carson that first year. And then ultimately, you know, Carson and I both move on, but he takes over and you know, listen, he wins another championship for them. So just excited for Jalen and, you know, just continues to battle and continues to have the success that I knew in my heart that he was gonna have.
Couple last questions for you, Coach. You know, it's one of the greatest substitute teacher stories of all time. And I talked to Dick Vermeil when Trent Green went down. He banged his head against the wall, and he said everybody was in the room, Mike Martz and everyone, and they went, we got to get a quarterback. We got to trade for a quarterback. We got to get a guy in here. And Vermeil went, you know, there's something about that guy. There's just something about that guy. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go with the guy who ends up taking the greatest show on turf, Kurt Warner, and they end up winning 2 NFC titles in a Super Bowl. There's something about him. After Wentz goes down in Los Angeles, how did you address the team? I mean, you're 11-2. You sit there, you got some games remaining there. You've got to bring in Foles, who, by the way, people don't mean, I know many people in Philly know, what was it, 26 TDs, 2 pick. He had an all-pro season a couple of years earlier. So it wasn't like a traditional dude. But you and Frank, I've always said this, Coach, about that move you made. It took 2 backup quarterbacks to figure out how to take a backup quarterback across the finish line. There were 3 backup quarterbacks in Philly that were going through that stretch run. How did you sell that to the rest of the locker room?
You know, and that was the probably the $64,000 question I wrestled with on the airplane back from LA, you know, after Carson went down and got hurt, and I got the news that, you know, he had tore his knee up and was going to miss the remainder of the season. And I felt, listen, and Nick Foles came in and ended up helping us win that game, right, in LA. It wasn't like he started the next week. He came in and had to finish that game and really played well for us. And you know, we ended up winning that game. But on the way home, I kept thinking, how am I going to address the team, you know, when I see them in a couple of days? And what's my messaging going to be? And I'll never forget, my son shot me a picture, a text, and it was a picture of that we have hanging in our basement in New Jersey. And you know, it talked about, you know, individuals can make a difference, but a team, right? The team can make the miracle. And I thought about that, and it really hit me. It's like, we have a lot of individuals on this football team, and you know, Carson was one of those individuals. Malcolm Jenkins was one of those individuals. Fletcher Cox, and I could have gone down the whole roster. And so that day I sat in that team meeting, and when I addressed the football team, I said that exact same thing. I started calling out all these guys and saying, every single one of you guys in here make a difference, right? You make a difference. You have an impact on this football team, but it's this team sitting right here in front of me that's going to make a miracle. And I didn't put everything on Nick Foles. I didn't put anything on, you know, Malcolm Jenkins or Rodney McLeod or, you know, Alshon Jeffrey, whoever, Nelson Aguilar. I didn't do that. I said, it's going to be this team right here, you know, that's going to make the miracle. And the guys bought into that. And the guys really believed in themselves. We were 11-2, as you mentioned. We had 3 games left on our schedule. You know, we won 2 of the next 3. So we ended up 13-3 that year. And we were the number 1 team in the NFC. And all we kept hearing about was how bad we were going to be. We were going to get bounced in the first round. We're really the divisional round. We were a terrible team, you know, with a backup quarterback and all this kind of stuff. But Frank and I just spent a lot of time with Nick Foles over the course of the you know, the next couple of weeks, just going back and figuring out what Nick Foles likes to do, how he operates as a quarterback. He's not going to be Carson Wentz. Carson likes to do things a certain way. Nick is probably a 180 from Carson. And so we had to put game plans together that suited Nick Foles and really suited the team. And how can we maximize that? And so, you know, I think that was the message, not only to the team, but it was the message to Nick Foles. It was the message really between Frank and I, was we're going to get on the same page, but we're going to dive into this thing together And at the same time, let's focus on team. Let's focus on, making this the best, postseason run. Let's not believe all the naysayers. That's where the dog mass obviously came apart, in Philadelphia, because we were the underdog, I think, in those 2 playoff games and even the Super Bowl. So, just a great football team. A lot of great individuals made up that team. But again, the miracle came because the guys believed, and they supported Nick Foles, and they went out and got it done.
And supported you for sure in your decisions. So I have to ask you here. I mean, it's the greatest moment I've ever seen in Super Bowl history. You're like this. You're sitting here like this. You're looking to dial something up. The kid walks over to you and goes, "How about Philly, Philly?" And you're like, "All right, run it." And I'm like, okay, now don't ever tell me anybody when you're talking about dudes in your ear with analytics, 20% here, you see yourself on the sidelines. Doug, you're like this. You're knee deep. You're looking. You're hearing Frank. And he just comes over and you go, okay, let's run it. What sold you at that moment for you to run that play?
Yeah, it's interesting because, and I've talked a lot about this play, but, that play, I never in my mind had it pegged as a fourth down call. This was going to be like one of those 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, where if it's incomplete or something goes haywire, you still got another down, right? You got an opportunity to make it right after that. And it never crossed my mind to call it in a fourth and 1 on the 1, and so when I had just called the timeout, and I'm sure all the analytics were probably like, kick the field goal, go into halftime, going up. I don't know, we would have been up 6 or 7 points probably at the time, but there's no way was I going to sit on the goal line with the team we had. And quite honestly, Dan, that's how we got into the Super Bowl is by taking risks, by putting ourselves as a team in 4th down scenarios throughout the course of the whole entire season. So we didn't even bat an eye. And so when Nick came over during that timeout and he suggested Philly, Philly, it just hit me like, that's the play we need to run. And I said, let's do it. And my mic, actually, funny story is my microphone was off. So none of the offensive coaches could hear me and Nick having this dialogue during this timeout. And so no one heard it. And then Nick goes back out onto the field. I turned my microphone back on and my headset on. And now everybody, all the coaches like, what'd you call, coach? So I just calmly just yell, personnel. I gave the personnel, and we got the substitutions in the game, and then I just said, hey, we're going to run Philly, Philly special. And it was funny because it was like almost you could hear a pin drop. As loud as that stadium was, I could hear crickets. I could hear crickets chirping on the headset after I said Philly, we're going to run Philly special. And anyway, it was a great play, well executed. The guys didn't even bat an eye on the field. They loved it. And again, it's the reason, to me, it's one of the reasons why we ended up in that football game at the end of the season, was because of the opportunities we had to go for it during the regular season. It just really gelled our football team, made us better as a football team, and just a exciting play and one that'll go down in Super Bowl history as one of the greatest plays ever.
Absolutely. Last question for you. Your relationship now with the Eagles. At the end, I was always under the impression, it's funny, and I'll tell you what Frank said to me, because Frank recommended to Jeffrey Lurie, he recommended Nick Sirianni. That was, I know you and I know that. And he also recommended, because that's when the whole Carson Wentz thing was that maybe there would be an opportunity to send Wentz to Indianapolis. So I remember this week, I thought you were going into that meeting with the Eagles to try to figure out what the next step was going to be with Carson, what have you. This has always been really a contention that, nobody really knows the story on how this whole thing and where the relationship is now with the Eagles here. Can you expand on that? I mean, did you go into that meeting thinking you were coming back the following year? And did you Did you think it was working it out, or did it just get to an impasse where you said, I think it's in the best interest for us to part ways here and go in our separate direction here? And how is that relationship today?
Yeah, two-part question. So obviously answer the first part, about the ending there. I did feel like I was going to get an opportunity to come back. We just came out of the COVID year, 2020. It was the pandemic. It was a tough year for us as a football team. We had some injuries in there. Quarterback didn't play great. He was beat up a little bit, so having an opportunity, my whole mindset was, let's have another opportunity to come into the 21 season and see how things pan out. And if it doesn't work in 21, then yeah, I understand. Maybe they move on. But I think too, because Jalen Hurts was playing at the end of the season, Carson, wasn't playing his best at the time. And I think for the organization, I think in their minds, it was the best thing to just, hey, let's just start fresh. Let's just part ways. Let's start fresh. Let's move on and see where this thing, goes. And so, and I understand that. That's part of the National Football
Was that
League.
their call or your call, Doug?
It probably a little of both, but more so the organization. Obviously, their decision. I would love to have been back in 21, at least give it another opportunity. But obviously, ultimately, it's the organization's decision to move on. And at the same time, too, I understood. I said, hey, listen, it's probably a good time for both of us to part ways. And maybe something will come up for me that I get an opportunity to go do. If not, I'll take the year off and see where it is at the end of the year. And then now currently with the Eagles, I mean, a great relationship. I've had a chance even with Jacksonville to go back to Philadelphia a couple of times and, talk to those people, see them at the owners' meetings every spring, over the last 3 years. And I mean, there's no, listen, are you disappointed that you let go? Yeah, sure. You are. You're disappointed. You feel like you let the team down, the players that you were coaching down, but at the same time, you also know that it's a business and it's no different when you move on from a player, right? It's just a business decision at times from time to time. And so, but the relationship now is great. I love going back to Philadelphia. I love, with my wife and I have been back several times really this past year, and the fans are great. Obviously the statue's still outside the, Lincoln Financial and Howie and I still touch base from time to time. And when I see Mr. Lurie, I everything's great. It's just part of the business. And,
right.
And, it's the same way it was in Jacksonville. It's just an opportunity, I think, for the Jaguars to go.
You got to be stoked at 4-1 right now. Those are your guys.
Yeah, and they're and Trevor's playing well. I just feel bad that again you don't get a chance to kind of finish what you started, right? And but yeah,
it sounds like you built the Jags up for the next guy. That's what it looks like to me here.
Well, you pour everything into that quarterback, and really you build your team around that quarterback, and they got some great players there, and they've obviously drafted well this past year, and going out and getting BTJ last year when for us, and really getting those weapons around Trevor Lawrence has really been a big impact, and I think it's been a reason why they're 4-1, and then of course defensively, listen, we couldn't get a turnover in 24.
Yeah.
I mean, we could not get the ball to bounce our way, and now everything's bouncing their way. It's just the way the NFL goes. I mean, it's just the way it is, and turnovers come in droves.
That's right.
You might have a drought year like we did in 24, and then they come in abundance in 25. So, it is what it is. But it's I'm happy for those guys.
You going back to Andy? Are we going back to Andy? Are you coach? You're not an idle hands guy. That's not going to happen. So you're not an idle hands guy. Are you getting back into coaching? I mean, I know you've had opportunities. I mean, are you thinking about getting back in? I mean, are we going to see you somewhere in some role on a sideline in 2026?
We're gonna see. We're gonna see what teams are needing head coaches. I'll make a decision, when that time comes. But And then listen, there's also got to be interest in me. There's got to be interest in interviewing me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I still have the passion and the desire and the drive to. That's the one thing you miss, and this as a former player, you miss the locker room, you miss the guys, you miss competition, you miss game day, and those are the things that I miss, and being around the guys that way. And so we'll see what the rest of this year holds, and make a decision.
I could see you coaching the University of Alabama. Do that Nick Saban role, roll in there, and I could see you there at Tuscaloosa hiring all your guys in there and one of those big-time college football gigs. I think that'd be great. Coach, I hope we can do this again. You've been spectacular, man. Everybody in Philly, I've been pimping this thing for the last week and a half here, and thank you again. I so hope we can do this again. All the love to you guys. And believe me, everybody in Philly loves you, man. I mean, I got nothing but text messages, people telling me how much they love you still in Philadelphia. So I think you should know that how much people respect you.
It does. Much. Yeah, it does mean a lot, that you're obviously well respected and obviously bringing a city their first championship and means a lot. It's a great fan base there, great people there. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Dan.
You bet. Right. That is Doug Pederson, the former head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. I just got a masterclass in your operation. I finally know that Doug was fired. He didn't part ways. We found out that Jalen Hurts was brought in to be the backup quarterback. But we knew we had the it factor and he liked him. What else did we learn out of that? Obviously, the organization didn't allow him to hire assistant coaches. And that now Nick gets an opportunity to hire assistant coaches or elevate from within. He wasn't allowed that. Okay. There lies the rift a little bit. Okay, so I think I learned a lot about your Eagle guys. How about he did agree with me. This is on the head coach handling A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. This is on the head coach. Howard Eskin's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I thought we learned a lot about how that whole thing ended up happening there. I mean, wow. Y'all drop title ideas. Best one wins. So many directions. Yes. Doug owns Sileo. Okay. What a drop-off. Dougie P to Burger King. Oh, come on, man. I told you we bring you the biggest guest. Just little old Big Sills and Jacob. I don't know. Just little old Sills. How you doing? Okay. When do you get to go on? At 6:01. Hey, thank you. Come on, man. Leave my guy alone. I love Doug to Alabama Sills. Make it happen. Can you imagine Doug Pederson coaching the Alabama Crimson Tide? Boy, you guys really do love Doug Pederson. Holy shit. 6:01. Thank you. Well, it's easy, but you got to listen. The reason why you want him back, you don't want to ask him like I talk to you idiots, because you got to kind of massage the room a little. You don't know how peeps are, So you got to be kind of like a little bit. Get this. Pro Football Talk report, I told you this was going to happen. Landon Dickerson could miss multiple games with ankle injury. I said that this guy would miss a couple games. So Dickerson may not be playing against New York. Okay? May not be playing against New York. Thanks, Big Sills. This is Devin. If we can get that up, there's Devin. Thanks, Big Sills. I appreciate you giving us your all each and every day. You bring the number one guest onto your show in the nation. We thank you very much. And then there's Dickhead LJ. and of course, the infamous M. Reyes and his wonderful takes. Big Balls Doug and Big Dick Nick. Got to have both for success. Oh, wait a minute. We need to get, my next guy's going to be Nick Foles. Do you guys like Nick Foles? What do you think? Nick Foles? Should we get Foles on next? Right? Oh, that's a fact. I'm not thinking I've seen Doug Pederson on WIP. I haven't seen him. All right. So we're going to get Nick Foles. We'll get Nick Foles in the next couple weeks for you guys. And we'll get Nick on for you. All right. Big Sills, top 10 NFL teams. Big Sills, top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Each and every single Tuesday, we do this. By the way, my friend Howard Eskin will get his thoughts on the lovers' meeting and the fireside chat that those guys had with one another about feelings. You know the song Feelings? Feelings. Everybody has feelings. Hey, feelings. Yeah. So we will talk to Howard Eskin. Xander's going to join us at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. So the top. Oh, and by the way, also, Vic Fangio spoke today. So here are, heading into week 6, the top NFL football teams. Here we go. At number 10, the team that just beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos at number 10. At number 9, well coached, a lot of talent, some decisions to be made at quarterback. But because of the weak schedule, they're going to win a boatload of games. The San Francisco 49ers at number 9. At number 8, team last night got it done. They've beaten San Francisco and the Kansas City Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. The Jacksonville Jaguars at number 8. At number 7, the Green Bay Packers at number 7. At number 6, former Eagle coach, head football coach of the Indianapolis Colts. That would be Shane Steichen's Colts at number 6. Number 5, I've got the Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers at number 5. At number 4, the 4-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And here are the top 3 teams on the Big Sills list. Heading into week 6, the National Football League. Here you go. At number 3, the Buffalo Bills. At number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. And number 1, the Detroit Lions. At number 1. Here are the Big Sills top 10 NFL teams. Lions 1, Eagles 2, Bills 3, Buccaneers 4, Steelers 5, Colts 6, Packers 7, Jaguars 8, 49ers 9, and the Denver Broncos at number 10. Now, here is the Big Sills top 10 NFL quarterbacks heading into week 6. At number 10, from the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford. Number 9, from the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Number 8, from the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts at number 8. Number 7, from the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold. Number 6, from the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff. Number 5, this list is crazy, Drake May, Patriots. Dude, I can't believe this list. I mean, I can't believe these. There's no way by November these names will be the same. Number 4, Josh Allen. Number 3, James Jones, Colts. Number 2, from the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. And number 1, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield. So, here are my top 10 quarterbacks. And again, I think this list is shit. But these guys are playing great. I mean, these guys are playing great ball. I think it's a shit list. Like, if you told me who the best quarterbacks, I mean, I see 1, 2. Hurts will always be 5. This is crazy. Based on stats? No, based on fucking wins. Carrying your team. Dak's got the worst defense in pro football. Ain't his fault. He don't play DB. Guy's got the number 1 offense in pro football. That ain't his shit. You could make the argument Dak's playing better than Baker. Yeah, you could. You could totally make that point. Mayfield 1, Dak 2, James Jones 3, Allen 4, Drake May. Hey, did I not tell you the Patriots were making the playoffs? Bold prediction, big sills. Early still, 20 quarters. Lot more to go. Number 6, Jared Goff. 7, Sam Darnold threw for 351 yards this past Sunday. They're 3-2 Seattle. They're good. Seattle's fucking good. I got Hurts at 8. You know what? Even with Hurts' shitty numbers, I know some of you are probably shocked I even put him in there, but you're not 4-1 without Jalen Hurts. And Hurts has shitty numbers across the board. In every metric, he's got shitty numbers. But there's no chance in hell you're 4-1 if that guy doesn't figure shit out and win you ball games. So I'm not going to not have him in my top 10. If they were losing ball games, he's not in my top 10. But he's winning games. You got to put him in there, man. Get this. How is the number 2 quarterback on your list 2-1? Easy, fuckbag. They got the worst defense in pro football. And if it's not for Dak, they have no wins. Easily said. I'm taking the rest of the week off. This dude, Dak 2. Wonderful fucking season. He's outplaying your boy by tenfold. How much Jerry paying you, Sills? Them clowns are 2-1. Yeah, and guess what? You're 4-1, and that's a shit record. Dude, Eagle fans don't want to admit it. Dak's playing great football. He's playing great football. And you lost to the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix. Bo Nix beat Vic Fangio. Bo Nix. All right. Bo Nix. Bo Nix. Let me guess. Bo Nix is now John Elway's cousin. Bo Nix. 4-1 better than it is better. Who said the Cowboys were good as you? Nobody said that. I said quarterbacks that are playing great ball right now and helping their teams win easily, guy. Hey, dude, you're not going to say that Jalen Hurts is playing better than Dak Prescott right now, are you? Are you really under the impression that you just had a meeting with guys bitching about the quarterback? I would take Dak over Jalen in a heartbeat. Well, yeah. Who has better TD interception ratio? Dak beat the New York teams, and your quarterback is on pace for 2,400 yards. By the way, and we have a ring. Congratulations. You have a ring. That doesn't mean he's better than the other guy. He has a ring. So I'm under the assumption then that you think Jalen Hurts is better than Dan Marino because he has a fucking ring. How stupid is that take? Let me go in here and find out here. Let me see what the old Saquon Barkley's on pace for right now. So let me get I got to see what your high-powered offense is on pace for right now. Let me see your quarterback here. Let's do the quarterback first. Shit, we got to go way down the list here. Let's see where Hurts is. Where the hell is he? Here he is. He's 23rd. There's Jalen. Let me write this out here. Hurts is on pace for... Ooh, he upped it. I'm so happy. He fucking upped it. He's up to 3,023, 24 touchdowns, and no picks. That's great. So let's see what Barkley's on pace for here. Let's see what he's trending to do. Let me get down here. Let me see Saquon Barkley in this high-powered offense. Let me go here. There he is. Barkley's 22nd in rushing. Let's see what Barkley's on pace for. 900 yards. People in here actually telling me he was going to get $2,000. Shit, he's on pace for 900 yards. He had 900 yards last year at the break. Let's see what AJ's on pace for. Let's get this. So far, 3,000 passing yards, 900 rushing for Saquon Barkley. Hold on here. Where's AJ? He's way down here. Oh, Jesus. Where's AJ Brown? Oh, past 50? Oh, my God, he's 62. Holy shit, he's 62 right now. So he's on pace for 65 catches and 660 yards and 3 TDs. Let me get Devontae, and that'll be it. Surely Devontae's got to have better numbers. He's not in the 60s too, is he? Where's Devontae? There's 40. There's 60. Where the hell is Devontae? There's AJ. Here's Devontae. He's 30th. Woo. Thank God. Let's see what where he's at. He's at 925 yards and 3 touchdowns. All right. So here is your high-powered passing game in your offense and your run game. Your quarterback's on pace for $3,000. Your running back's on pace for 900 rushing yards. A.J. Brown's on pace for 660 yards. And Devontae's on pace for 925. Gonna win a lot of games. Get off your knees for Dak. You're starting to sound like that bozo Mark Holmes. No, I give people props when they're doing well. I don't sit here and put my fucking green glasses on like you, guy, and drag my knuckles around having Eagles written on my hand all day long. That's not what we do here, Junior. We give people their just dues, unlike you. Shows you right there. That's a guy you'd never want on a jury. This guy's not going to give you fair and balanced. That's not who that guy is. Remember when Sills used to clown Jalen Hurts on turnovers? Yeah. Now that little talking point disappeared from Hurts's or Sileo's Rolodex of things Hurts is bad at. No, he's just awful at taking sacks. But to his point, you have to give him kudos. He's on pace for 24 touchdowns and no picks. That'd be an insane year. And by the way, if Jalen Hurts throws for 3,700 yards and has 25 touchdowns and no picks, my opinion, that's MVP conversation, depending on what the record is. I would have to agree. I would have to agree with that. You're not football over? I would agree with it. Let me see something here with Dak and where Dak is right now. So Dak's on right now. He's carrying his football team. He's on pace right now for 35 touchdowns and 4,600 passing yards at 71 completion percentage. Again, it'd be great if he could play defense. Be great. Dak's playing great football. Now, again, regular season Warriors. Look at Dan Marino. You know Dan Marino's got an underwater record in the National Football League. when it comes to postseason play. He's 7-9 in the postseason. Dan Marino never had a run game. He never wanted one. By the way, I learned a lot of stuff today about Doug Pederson and about how the Eagles do business. I mean, I thought it was interesting, and we appreciate Doug telling us. I didn't realize that Doug was fired. I thought, the way it was scripted out and the way it was told to us was that, it was a parting of mutual ways. And he said it today right here that no, it was more the organization. They wanted a fire. And I used an Angelo Cataldi question. Do you find it interesting now that Nick Sirianni gets to pick or elevate coordinators and you couldn't? He goes, I'm glad they're doing that now. So Doug wasn't allowed to do that? He couldn't elevate or he couldn't pick assistant coaches? He said that right here. Interesting. Now they've given Nick that ability, but they didn't give Doug, who delivered the first Super Bowl. He also said that Jalen Hurts was not drafted to be the guy. I knew he was the seatbelt. They had just given Carson Wentz that mega deal. It was the second best deal in football next to golf, right? So I learned a lot about you through Doug Pederson today. You know who made that happen? The next guy up here. And guy who I can't wait to listen to him tell us what he thinks about this little love fest they had yesterday between. Oh, and Doug said this. That's the head coach's responsibility. When you got player meetings like that and there's a problem inside the locker room, that's on the head coach. Without further ado, we got to thank him a lot because he hooked us up with this. Doug Pederson was on for us with about 35 minutes. It is Howard Eskin, and we thank him very much for hooking us up. Thank you, Howard. I owe you, man.
You don't owe me anything. Hey, listen, IOUs really kind of get lost in the shuffle. Hey, if you're
Not here.
friends with a guy, you don't count either way. You just help the guy, and
Thank you.
It's not about numbers. Hey, listen, I did this for you. When people start giving you, hey, you remember when great. But that's not what it's all about. Where were you for the last 3 years? So, those are the kind of things you got to look at. Let me just address a couple of things because I listened to you and Doug Pederson. The way I remember it, Doug knew he was going to get fired because he wouldn't change a couple of the coaches. He wanted to keep a coach
Press
by the
Taylor?
name Press Taylor was one, and Mike Groh was the other one. When Frank left, I believe Mike Groh took over as the offensive coordinator when Frank Reich left. And he wanted to keep both of them, and the Eagles didn't want to keep either one of them. And Doug knew by saying, no, I'm keeping him, and he knew that they were going to fire him by keeping him, and he had it. He's not going to say that. From what I understand, I believe he had it with them telling him what coaches he could and couldn't have. And those were two of the guys. He stood firm. He says, I'm not firing the guys. Good. Then you're fired. And that's pretty much the way it came down. But he knew he was going to get fired when he wouldn't relieve those coaches of their jobs. And I think he had another year left on his contract. So he felt good about that anyway. I mean, nobody wants to get fired. I mean, it's just, and you're fired not because you're not doing a good job, because somebody has an issue with you. It's a personality conflict. It's little things. It's not because you were doing or not doing your job in a lot of cases. Hey, listen, we've all been through that.
Absolutely. And Howard, here's something else. Address this with me. And I wanted to word it right. And because Angelo gave me the idea of the question yesterday.
Oh, that's a problem.
Well, and right. So I had to word it differently. Okay. I had to word it like, do you like to see the fact that Nick is getting autonomy? Because he wanted me to go, hey, do you find it really weird that Nick got a chance to elevate coaches and you did it? So I didn't want to go down that lane. I went, you must like to see that Nick is getting more autonomy and elevating his assistant coaches to the OC position. And he goes, I'm glad that they've changed their direction in that. So, I mean, that makes me feel, Howard, that he really didn't have like complete say in who he was going to hire, because you just basically referenced that a little bit. Why the change though? So I'll ask you and I'll expand it. Why do you think the change with Nick and they didn't allow Doug that same autonomy?
Maybe Nick Sirianni put his foot down, so to speak, using a phrase, and said, I'm going to hire my guys. And the fact that he had success pretty quickly, Doug did too, that he had success pretty quickly and he's not going in the other direction. You can't challenge him. I'll say if, I'm not going to say when, if the Eagles ever start going in the other direction and not winning at the rate that management wants them to win, and it really comes down to Howie Roseman more than anything else. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie wants to win, the owner wants to win, but when it comes down to that, then he may not have that ability, and they may. Hey, at some point, we know Nick Sirianni is going to get fired. Now, I don't want people to get all bent out of shape and say, "Well, you're firing him." Last year, I was the one that defended him when they were 2-2.
Yep.
I think he's a good coach. I don't like his news conferences because he says zero. Share a little bit. Even Andy Reid, I saw where Andy Reid shared something, and he didn't call out Patrick Mahomes, but he said he made a mistake. He misread the coverage, I think, on the interception with the 99-yard interception. I think he said, that's not Andy Reid to say he misread the coverage.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you're not really, but Patrick Mahomes knows he misread the coverage.
But that's constructive.
Yes, I agree with that, but Nick doesn't do that. But again, Nick's not getting fired anytime soon, but a head coach is hired to be fired. There's an expiration date on all of them. And at some point, it's going to happen. Even Belichick got fired. They had enough of him. Boy, it won't take him long at North Carolina to get fired because that team sucks. And he's, maybe we all around now realize it was Tom Brady and it wasn't Belichick.
Well, again, at the end of the day, there's no doubt. But, everyone's making North Carolina, though, Howard, sound like North Carolina is some sort of like national power in football. That's a 7-win team every year. I mean, look at Deion Sanders. He's 15-16 at Colorado. Nobody's screaming at that. I mean, so again, I think it's harder than what people think to coach the college game here. But let me ask you one more question. Do you think on this topic here, do you think that Nick hired Kellen Moore? And do you think they hired Vic? Or was that what you just got through saying? Because coming out of 23, I mean, there was a question mark that the guy was going to get canned after the Tampa Bay game. And when he got home, the guy went out, bought a yacht. He comes back. He's deciding whether or not to keep the guy. And all of a sudden, they get out to the 4-4 start. And you're right. I remember you a year ago defending the guy at 2-2 when they came off that first before the bye. I mean, do you think that he made those hires? I don't think he made those. I don't think he hired Vic Fangio.
Well, Vic Fangio was a consultant.
Yep, 22.
Remember, it was at
in 22.
Yeah, right. He was a consultant, but he was going to go to Miami. I think he wanted to come to Philadelphia. He's from the area, and I think he wanted to come to Philadelphia. But the Eagles weren't prepared to pay him what Miami was going to pay him.
Correct.
And that's why he ended up going to Miami. And in the end, you knew at some point he was going to come to Philadelphia. But the Eagles decided they're paying him a lot of money for a defensive coordinator, a lot of money. I think about $4 million.
Oh yeah,
that's nowadays it's not a lot of money because the head coaches are Nick's getting I think around 15 million. So that's not a lot, but Vic's very, very important. So and Kellen Moore, I think in the end Nick had to agree with Kellen Moore.
Okay,
because they all got together.
But you know this, Howard. You could put a list of 6 guys that the organization gets you, and how you can come around saying that you ended up making the hire. Hey, we'd like you to pick off the names of these 6 guys who you like and who you think. You can basically say that Nick hired the guys, but you know that Howie and the owner, they vetted that. You could pick from these 6 guys.
Well, the head coach has to be on the same
Yeah,
page,
agreed.
especially of his coordinators. Have to be on the same page. So if he wasn't on the same page, it would have been foolish to hire Vic Fangio,
Right.
or it would have been foolish to hire Kellen Winslow. And, I hear all these people make excuses, and I know you're not a fan of Kevin Petullo. I am. Is he? I don't know where to put him, but I don't think he's really the problem.
No.
I don't really think he's the problem. Players make plays and players don't make plays, but the reality is, you've got to have people that you are comfortable with, and Nick Sirianni has worked with Kevin Petullo for before he worked with him before they were with the Eagles. Yeah. So that's really part of the equation. Now the other coaches, you haven't worked with everybody, but somebody in the coaching staff has probably worked with some of these
Like
people
Bobby
before.
King, the linebacker coach, had never worked with Vic, but Bobby King worked in San Diego with Frank and worked with Nick. So there was the relationship that you're talking about, that
Yeah.
somebody, it all circles around like that here. So you're saying that Nick just has to be comfortable with it. He may not know who you are, but at the end of the day, he's got to have a comfort zone.
And I think he's got to. Yeah, and I think he's got to sign off on it.
Yeah,
you're not going to. Hey, we want to hire this guy, and I think Nick, especially now, he's got leverage.
Yeah,
but he'd say, you know what? I'm not sure whether this guy is better for us than this coach.
Okay.
So and I think he's got that input now, because hey, can you imagine if the Eagles said, Nick, well, we're not going to let you hire that coach? The outrage.
But they did that with Doug.
Yeah, but Doug didn't have the cachet that Nick got quickly. It's like Andy Reid got, I think in his second, matter of fact, I know I had a debate with I'll call him your boy Angelo. I said, when it was the first year we had a debate on the air in the afternoon, and I said, Andy Reid's going to get to the playoffs in his second year. All that nonsense. And he got to the playoffs. And the same thing with Nick Sirianni. He got to the playoffs quickly. So you've got to – he's doing something right.
Yeah.
So let him make the decisions, and he's going to be the guy that sinks or swims. Don't make a decision for him, because ultimately it's his job and it's not yours. Howie's always going to have a job, and there's other people. I guess Howie's the main guy. Howie Roseman's always going to have a job with the Eagles, because Jeffrey Lurie and he are really, really tight. Even when Howie was sent to the back of the room, Jeffrey always wanted, when Chip Kelly was there, Jeffrey always wanted to keep Howie Roseman. And then he got let out of the closet, and closet's probably the wrong word. He got let out of the back room and to come back and have a huge say. And probably the biggest thing
happened to him was getting sent to the closet, because when he got out, he became even bigger than he was before going in this. All right, I want to take you back a couple days. Give me your takeaways on the Bronco loss. And one carry in the second half for Saquon Barkley. I mean, there's one thing to overcorrect, but you had the lead, Howard.
Okay.
You had the lead.
I don't have the play-by-play in front of me, but I know there were a lot of 3 and outs. Yeah. Okay. A lot of 3 and outs. In the end, the Eagles have flaws. Let's face reality. They do have flaws. Their running game is not the same as last year. Now, Saquon Barkley was never going to get 2,000 yards again. Never going to happen. But he had so many carries, and history says that the next year, that running back just is not quite as good. He's not hurt. And I don't even know if he practiced today. I'll check to see if he practiced.
No, he got hurt in the Buck game, and it got accentuated in this previous game against Denver. But now, again, they're only doing walkthroughs right now, Howard. So it's not like you're going to get a good sense. But they did not participate.
Well, here's the other thing. You're playing on turf. You're playing on that awful field.
Awful.
Yeah, awful field. Awful field. So, and then they'll have 10 days before they have to play what could be a really tough game. I think the next game's Minnesota. and J.J. McCarthy may be back for that game, their quarterback. So, it's the Giants. Do you really want to rest them? But again, let me get back to my point here. The running game isn't as good. I don't think, even though their offensive line is good, I don't think their offensive line is good. One of the things I see in defense is they catch up to you, and I don't know what you can do if you're putting a lot of guys in the box. But the Saquon Barkley is really effective once he gets to the second level.
Right.
Then he's really dangerous.
They're flooding the lanes on blitzes on first and second down, and not allowing him to get to that second.
No, and then you force Jalen Hurts into a position the Eagles don't want him to be in to pass. So between the offensive line, between the running back he's good, obviously he's really good, but he's not as effective. That changes their game. They are not a team that wants Jalen Hurts to pass because they don't want turnovers. It's amazing how turnovers change the game. One of the reasons I don't think the Eagles won is they didn't get a turnover.
Yeah.
In all the other I think in every other one of the 4 games, the Eagles not only led in turnovers, but they got turnovers. And that changes the whole dynamic of the game. They're getting field position and scoring points off of turnovers. If they don't get a turnover, the game's going to come right down to the end if they don't get a turnover from the other team. Now, the fact that Denver came back, Bo Nix did a really nice job. And people have
Sean Payton did a nice job
putting him in
a great position to win.
Yeah, and he and Bo Nix, that's a great combination for Sean Payton to coach that quarterback, Bo Nix. Hey, I remember talking to Sean Payton after the Giants got to the Super Bowl in 2002. I believe, was Sean Payton the offensive coordinator for the Giants that year?
The Eli year?
No, it was Kerry Collins.
Yes. In 2000 when the Ravens beat him.
Okay, right.
Yeah, when the Ravens beat him.
I almost remember going up to Sean Payton.
That was in Tampa.
Okay. You must have, I've been to 42 Super Bowls, so obviously I was at that one. I said, you must be a magician. To get to the Super Bowl with Kerry Collins is unbelievable. A mental midget.
I forgot.
Yeah, I know. It's just like unbelievable. But Sean Payton is a terrific coach. So now they didn't turn the ball over. We've neglected to really look at the Eagles defense and say, you know what? They're not as good as they were last year. Now, you went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So in most cases, you're not going to be as good as the year before.
But
they're not as good.
Listen, everything you're saying, check it out. After 20 quarters, the Eagles offense is 30th total. They're 31st in passing. Here's what you're talking about. They're 25th in rushing. Now on defense, to what you said just now again, last year they were number 1. They're 20th in total defense. They are 15th in passing. They were number 1. And versus the run, last year, they were 7th. This year, they're 22nd.
Okay, so everybody wants to point to he only had 6 rushes. Well, if you go 3 and out, you're not doing yourself any. It's only a 2-score game. 14 points is a 2-score game. So I say only, but the Eagles shouldn't lose that. But the reality is, when you let's look at the Tampa game and the Rams game. The defense needed to shut down the other team at the end. They were lucky. Fans don't like me to say the Eagles were lucky to beat the Rams, but they still did block 2 field goals. Yeah, but the defense allowed the other team to get in position to kick what would have been a game-winning field goal, but at the 25-yard line. Baker Mayfield, who I love as a quarterback, made a mistake on first down.
He did.
If the ball was tipped, but you can't throw it when there's multiple defenders in that area. And on first down, you just throw it away. You live to play another down. But the Eagles defense didn't stop them from coming down the field. So they're good, but it's just something that's just not right. They're a flawed team, But in the NFC, the AFC, I think, is so much better than the NFC. I mean, tell me what teams really stand out in the NFC. Detroit,
Not
maybe.
Detroit.
I
Here,
think the Rams are better, but to lose the two games that they lost, that shouldn't happen if you're a good team. I like Stafford, but the reality is, who jumps up,
no one.
jumps out at you? Nobody. So
I think they're all in the same room. I think Bucks, Eagles, Lions.
Yeah, the Bucks. Okay.
Those teams are probably in the room, depending on what injuries. And here, the Eagles got some bad news. It looks like Landon Dickerson's going to be out for a couple weeks.
Well, that's another break that the Eagles have had last year. They didn't have any injury. They didn't have any real injuries.
That's 3 years ago.
So now you've got the offensive line injury. Lane Johnson has been out parts of 2 games, I think, right?
Yep.
I love Lane Johnson. Great, hardworking. They all are hardworking. Somebody said, where did I see that? Somebody said that the Eagles played harder than Denver. It's stupid. It's an asinine comment.
Yeah.
Everybody plays hard. It's football. If you don't play hard, you're not going to be on the field.
That's right.
But I just something about the team that's just not the same. Just not the same.
How about this, though? Okay. So yesterday, this so-called meeting was called between Barkley, Hurts, and AJ. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying anybody saying out of the Bob Lang School of PR that that's something schematically about the offense.
Well, that's not PR. What he does is not PR.
Well, here's that's not PR. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
And so, like, for me, if you had an offensive issue, you're going to have a meeting without Lane Johnson in it, without Mulata in it. If you're going to talk schematics about offensive approach, of course you're going to have those 2 guys in it. You didn't have it. To me, this is more about relationship with AJ Brown and with Jalen. And what I don't like is Barkley is like the Dr. Phil in this.
Yeah, I think those things, you're done with meetings.
They're making more out of this.
Well, you're done with meetings. Once you have a players meeting, and if it doesn't work, it's over. Don't even try another one. And it's limited number of players. He's trying to be the good guy here. He is a good guy, but it's not. If you have a players meeting, you got to have more than just those guys. I don't think those Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are at the point where they don't like each other. I think that's it's so much the opposite.
Yeah, but
what AJ Brown
you reported something last year, and you got your feet put with cement blocks. You were thrown off the boat.
I'm telling you, it was worse than that.
Yeah,
I was threatened.
Wait a minute. You were basically putting cement shoes by Nicky Scarfo. And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't know, Howard. I mean, you're kind of going back on what you did.
I was only
it
reporting.
Looks like BG was right.
Well, but BG, he was right, and he got shut down too. But he's different because he's BG and he's a player. But I only reported what AJ Brown said, and he didn't identify Jalen Hurts. He said, I just wanted to make a point to you guys. He stopped as people were talking to him in his locker, and he said, I just wanted to make a point that we needed to get our offense better. He didn't say the quarterback. He said our offense. Now, is Jalen, here are some of the things. When you look at their wide receivers, I mean, Devontae Smith has got so much speed. He's going to create separation.
Great player.
He is. You know what? I don't know that he's not a better wide receiver than AJ Brown. I mean, people don't want to believe that.
Route runner, and hit like that.
Yeah, he catches the ball too, and he's got really good hands. He's got speed. He does all the things you want, and he will get open more than AJ. What the Eagles can't allow to happen is because AJ, first of all, keep these guys off social media. It's a don't press send. Just don't press send. Keep them off social media. You can't allow Jalen Hurts to feel obligated to throw to just kind of look for AJ Brown and throw him the football. Here's what happens in every football game to every receiver. There's always a time when that receiver, regardless of the team, is going to be open at some time in the game, and the quarterback doesn't see him. It happens with every quarterback in every game. AJ makes an issue of it. He's going to be open, and the quarterback doesn't see him. So is Devontae Smith going to be open, and the quarterback doesn't see him. So is, give me Jamar Chase, especially with that situation out there, is going to be open, and the quarterback doesn't see him. But you don't see those guys going on social media and going off and complaining that they're not getting the football.
You think AJ's wrong?
Wrong in jumping on social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And airing out the issues.
Well, yeah, but you got to do it in-house.
Yeah.
You got to do it in-house. You can't go public because then it becomes an issue and people are still talking about it. You can't do that. That's not the way you get things done. He does talk to the coaches, and the coaches talk to Jalen. The coaches talk to everyone. It's all. It's just I don't know that Jalen is always good enough at making the progressions, going through the progressions. No, I'm just trying to be nice.
He's limited.
Yeah. He's just not, he stands, there's got to be somebody open. He's standing in the pocket so long. They just put a lot of defenders out there. That's what teams are doing now. They stop the run.
They're lining up 9. You see they're bringing up 9 now. They're confusing him. By the way, did you see the troll job today by Brian Dable, the New York Giants head coach? He goes like this. He went out there and he goes, "Hey, I look at the film. AJ's always open." Hey, AJ's always open.
That's great. That's great. You know what? If Dart has a good game,
oh God,
yeah, it's just I don't know. We got to see the fact that the Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite.
Started picking at the scab, man. He went there and he knew. He goes, "Yeah, man, we watched the film. AJ's always open."
I just, the Eagles have to play better, and I don't know how much better they can play. I think it's 5 games. It's still early.
You got to get healthy.
Well, but everybody's getting hurt.
No, I got it. They're not going to get
not everybody for them, but you're playing all those games. There's going to be more injuries, and you got to deal with it. But the Super Bowl year under Doug Pederson, they had 5 key injuries, and they still won the Super Bowl. And your quarterback, that's the biggest key injury. Never forget the question to Doug Pederson, because they didn't score many points in the Atlanta playoff game. You're thinking of changing quarterbacks. Who was the other quarterback? He's with a team now, too.
Nate Sudfeld?
Yeah, Sudfeld. You're thinking of going to Nate Sudfeld.
Nate Sudfeld.
The media.
And that lame-ass excuse at the end when they put him in with Doug's last year. Yeah, we just wanted to see what he had. Come on, Howie.
I know. Yeah. Give me a break.
Do you think this team's in trouble?
No, because I just don't think the conference is that strong. Are they in trouble? I don't think the conference is as strong as it's been in the past. I'm curious to see what Washington does. Now, they beat a banged-up Chargers team.
Yep.
Yeah, because the Chargers have lost some players. Hell, did they lose an offensive lineman or defensive lineman?
They lost their big-time left offensive tackle.
Yeah, so teams have injuries, but you got to overcome those injuries. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You got to overcome.
You think they still win the NFC East? I got the Commanders winning it.
It's the Eagles or Washington. I can't call them the Commanders. It's sickening. But I know. But it's the Eagles or Washington. I mean, Dallas is starting to play better. Here, Dallas might.
They might win 9 games.
I still think no, Dallas not winning anything, but
they might win 9 games. They might win 9 games.
Yeah, and I think they might beat the Eagles when they play them in Dallas the next time they play. So the next time, because it's hard to beat a team, and the Eagles have been doing it. The teams in their division 2 times. Here's the thing with the Giants. I'd be curious to see, because the NFL they're such a joke. They scheduled the Eagles and the Giants twice within 3 weeks. And the reason they do that is because they do that Washington at the end of the year. They do that so teams don't run away with it because it's so hard to beat the same team twice in a 3-week span. So that is kind of interesting, what they do. And I'm sure they're doing it to other teams. That's just, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And they're trying to help teams not win, help the team that's not as good at least split in their division games. It's a joke.
I gotta go here now. Angelo yesterday.
Okay.
You and him are total polar opposites. He can't stand the greatness of Rob Thompson. And now Rob Thompson, he's now 0-2 versus the Dodgers. And I don't know. He calls him Robot Thompson. Okay. And how he handles his pitching staff. What do you make of your Phillies?
It's analytics and it's too much. But he went against the analytics by bunting in the 9th inning. That's totally against analytics. So I think he was running scared. I think he got close. He panicked. And I'll criticize, and I did on social media. I did criticize him. That was a horrible decision to have Stott bunt. Ask him to pull the ball to the right side so the runner can get to third base, and he's still at third, and you have a chance to get a base hit.
Yeah.
But you have 3 players coming up with a chance for a hit. And, there's people that criticize him. Why don't they put in a pinch runner? Well, Bader couldn't run, so you're really short a player. He could hit, but then they had to use a pinch runner for him when he got a base hit. But that was a terrible, terrible, terrible decision to have Stott bunt to try to tie up the game. Let him hit. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. And I saw a piece by Jimmy Rollins, and I sent Jimmy a text just to compliment him on the way he explained. Castellanos didn't even know what, you got to follow. If there's a rotation on the wheel play, you got to follow the shortstop because the coach, he said, is looking at the second baseman. So you can go as far as the shortstop as long as the second baseman doesn't. And he's not coming over because he's got to cover first. So Jimmy really, really explained it well. And so Castellanos was the wrong guy to be at second base, but there's nothing you could have done about it to try to bunt to get him to third. So I think Rob Thompson's good enough. The manager, the Phillies lineup, I've been saying this for 2 years now.
Top of the lineup.
I don't like their lineup. I don't like the way it's constructed. I don't like Harper hitting third. He had 261 this year.
I know.
He had 261.
He's a 5-hitter.
He doesn't drive in 100 runs. The 3-hole should drive in 100 runs.
Yeah,
now, I know Schwarber's hitting a lot of home runs in front of him. Yeah. That's still no excuse.
No.
He's not going to hit a home run every time up. But I just don't like the construction of their lineup. And here's the problem. Well, here's one of the problems. They can't really change this team that much. Okay, well, they try to trade Castellanos. Yes. But they're going to have to sign. They're going to try to trade Suarez. Okay. But they were going to do that anyway. But that doesn't change the real configuration of this team. I don't know if they're going to be able to sign Schwarber because he's going to get a big number because they've got to sign Stott. I know I'm missing some people. The pitchers, they're going to have to sign some pitchers.
Cincinnati's going to offer him a boatload of money.
That's where he's from. And then Bader, if Castellanos is making $20 million a year, then Bader's got to get paid $20 million.
Well, think of this too, Howard. If he goes to Cincinnati, who made the postseason this year,
Cincinnati's a good team.
Cincinnati's got pitching, and they're a good team. You
put
him on that team, they're better than the Cubs.
Well, the thing the Phillies don't do
with Milwaukee.
But the thing the Phillies don't do, and you can't always blame the manager. They don't hit home runs, they don't score. They don't put the ball in play. The
No.
ninth inning was part of Dave Roberts throwing some donkey in there with a 5 ERA, which he shouldn't. Just close it down. Just get your guy in there and just close, because you have a day off anyway. Just close it down. So the fact that the Phillies got close, got it. Oh yeah, they fought hard. They didn't quit. Well, you don't quit. You don't want to be embarrassed, but they didn't have their best pitcher coming in relief. But the fact that the Phillies, when they score, they usually only score in 1 or 2 innings. They don't score because they don't put the ball in play. They live on the home run. It's really, really difficult.
You think they're done?
I think nobody's done until you win that third game, and you've heard that. But the Dodgers right now are a better team.
Yeah.
I mean, the Dodgers are a better team, and you got Nola going in the next game just because he shut down a team under 20 games under 500 doesn't excite me. Are they done? It's going to be hard for them to win 3 games. Now you say if they win 2, then the last game's at home and you'll have Sanchez pitching, but Ohtani will pitch for the other team too. So, who would you rather have, Ohtani or Sanchez? I'd rather have Ohtani.
That's right.
So, and the Phillies have lost, I think they've lost 9 of their last 11 games, playoff games at Citizens Bank Park.
Whoa. Not a way you want to end the season. Howard, I got to thank you one more time. Thank you for making that Doug Pederson interview.
You know what? Doug's a good guy. And he's so cooperative. The fact once you got in touch with him. What's that?
I'm in your debt with that, man. I am.
Yeah, well, tell Michael Irvin I've crossed him off the list.
Why you go to the guy who responds to me on one of his best friends? I text him, he'll respond to me 3 months later. I know. He's so Iverson-ish.
You know what? That's the other thing. Iverson's pushing a book. And when I text Allen Iverson, he gets back to me. But I know if I schedule him for a show, he's got an event in Philadelphia next week to talk about his book at one of the theaters here.
He'll come on then.
No, you got to worry about. He's got to have 16 guys. You think Allen Iverson knows how to click on a link?
Debatable.
And I got to worry about him being there.
I just learned how to do it, so I'm not really ripping him. Okay, yeah, I mean,
just click on there. But he's got to have people get him to sit down.
Yeah.
So, if I was with him, and I'd say, "Hey, sit down. We're going to do this interview." That's just not the way. It's just not the way it works.
That's not. Howard, I hope we can do this again next week. Listen, my friend, thank you again. It's always great.
Let me tell people, because I think he does an unbelievable job of breaking down games. It's Tuesday. Tomorrow night, Brian Baldinger will be on with us. He breaks down games.
Tell Baldy hi.
As well, I will. He breaks down games as good, if not better, than anybody. He's really good at it.
I'm going to give you some insight here too.
All right.
So you ready? He dated my wife before I knew my wife. Just so and so every time I call him, he always goes, "How's my girl doing?" So we played in Dallas together, and so it's funny. My wife knows Brian Baldinger longer than she's known me, and I've known Brian longer than I've known her. And we've been married 35 years plus. So
wow,
and so Brian's always like, "How's my girl doing?" He's such a good dude, though.
I don't want to ask him. I'd say, "Hey, Dan Sileo wants to tell you his wife's doing great."
Hey, do me a favor. Give me the insight of what he says on that one. Howard,
you know what? I don't know if he's going to take it.
He will.
He will. The sarcasm that it was.
He will. Okay. We've known each other for 40 plus years. We're really
okay.
I know him really well. Howard, thank you, my friend.
All right, Dan. Take care.
You
Always
bet. That is Howard Eskin. We appreciate him coming aboard. Yes. Yeah. So every time I text Baldinger, Baldy goes, "Hey man, who's booking the show here? My girl or you?" I go, "I'm not, we have to go there." And so he's like, look, me and him go back a long way, man. He is, and to what Howard said, you talk about a guy who breaks down games. Nobody breaks down position blocking. Nobody breaks down what teams are trying to do. So that's going to be a must watch for you guys. Guys, I'm going to get to all your super chats. Xander's going to join us next. I got to pay some bills. My great friends at Morgan & Morgan. The number one injury law firm in all of America is Morgan & Morgan. With over $30 billion recovered. This is what makes them number one. Told you this will be the easiest decision you ever make if you've ever been injured at work or anywhere. Please call Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. It's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. Tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Dan Sileo, appreciate you guys coming aboard. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Really big show today, man. Really great stuff. We really appreciate both Doug Pederson and Howard Eskin coming aboard with us. We've had a couple good days here, and we appreciate you guys again here. So Major League Baseball, the playoffs have been going great. Listen, I'll say this about this meeting, and Howard was right. Those meetings, at the end of the day, I mean, okay, so here's what we've had so far with the drama of the Eagles this year, okay? You had a defensive tackle that's in line to make $40 million, spitting on Dak Prescott. getting tossed. Now you have a disgruntled player or an employee in your midst, and he's a distraction. How many people say this? That A.J. Brown is a distraction now, yes or no? You think A.J.'s a distraction? Look at M. Reyes. The Eagle run defense is now 25th. Some dog. You're 25th in rush defense. Quite a dog. With fleas. 25th in run defense. You are 20th in total. Some dog. You are 15th in pass defense. Some dog. Dog? More like dogging it. AJ needs to keep things in house. Okay? Hurts all pro dog. AJ Brown broke up the Hail Mary from Devontae. Offense ain't going to be shit this year. Starts with the trenches. You're dead on. You are absolutely true. Okay? Here's Kim. If AJ wants to stop, he can go back to Tennessee and not win Super Bowls. Okay? You think they'll trade him by the trading deadline? Nah, too much money. Too much money. They're not going to break up the Beagles. Beatles, Eagles. They're not going to break them up. They're not breaking the Beagles up. No way, right? If AJ keeps it up, he'll be gone by November 2nd at 4 p.m. No way. Too much money. Not a chance. Not till after the season. Sills, did you see Hurts ran down the field after throwing the Hail Mary? Why, doesn't he trust his wide receivers? I think that's an indictment on his wideouts, not to catch the ball. The Beagles. Yes, the Beagles. The Beatles and the Eagles. The Beagles. It won't be us getting rid of him. It's going to be him demanding to get traded. Okay? Why did we not call more wheel routes against Denver? Are you under the impression that you have a quarterback that is in a system where that he can handle those things? Dude, he's not a complex thrower. He struggles at reading defenses and setting pressure or protections. You see what they're doing. They're bringing up 9, and it's confusing him. They're going to do it the rest of the year. And for the record, Jalen Hurts excels in a lesser system. He doesn't excel in a more complex motion offense. I mean, stick to what makes him great. Limited offense. More real. A wheel route is complex. Well, then why is the only pass route that A.J. Brown runs is a go route? All he runs are go routes. He was the one who called the wheel route, Sills. What are you talking about? Okay, so again, look at this. This guy makes it sound like he's so, like, Jalen Hurts calls these exotic plays, and he's an exotic passer, and he's good in the pocket, when his coaches don't believe he is. Hey, Prince, why don't you fucking ask the coaches why they don't believe in him as a passer? And why the passing game has been shitty for a year and 5 games. Why don't you ask those guys that question? If he's so proficient at calling the wheel route and being more complex, why don't they have a higher complex offense? Dude, you can argue with me all you want. The coaches are the ones that don't believe him. He saw the linebacker inaudible to that play. Okay, well, if he's so good and he audible to that play, why don't they give him more autonomy to throw the ball? Dude, you're like the worst passing game in football. You're the worst passing game in football. And you're trying to make this thing look better, and it's not. I'm not. You're arguing with me, and the results are telling you who he is. Yeah, hey, Prince, go ask Nick why he doesn't do it and why they don't have a built-in game plan and why you're having meetings and why the receivers are so upset. If he's so good, then why are these guys all upset? We lost when we passed more than 25 a game. Gee, really? Blame Xander for that one. You can, by the way, I want you to do me a favor from now on. The loss is solely on Xander Krause's back. Xander wanted plus 25 passes. He got it. You lost. Yeah. Oh, my God. Big Z. I'll tell you what, man. Let's see. You know the questions that I asked Doug Pederson a couple minutes ago or last hour? Boy, I hope that my boy Big Z sees how you have to ask the same question 18 different times to his boy John. He was trying so hard today, and I loved what I was watching, man. He is definitely getting there. I think Xander is one of the most talented guys in Philly. Young guy, man, and he's getting it. Without further ado, from Birds 365, my boy Big Z, Xander Krause joins us now.
What's up, Big Sales? Great freaking job today, my man. Excellent interview with Doug Pederson. That's why I'm late. I was working on it, making sure I had it all ready to go, ready to post right coming out of the National Football Show. So for everybody that missed the interview, you stay right here through the end. That video will premiere on the channel at 6 p.m. tonight. Doug Pederson on the show. Big Sills, you might stir some feathers. You might make people hate you sometimes. You might shit on our birds too much, but you know how to conduct an interview. Well done, my friend.
Well, here's what I did for me. I wanted him to answer questions on how I see your organization and how I've been asking who makes the hires, who does this, where was Jalen Hurts and how they thought of him when they drafted him. I really wanted to be educated myself, and Doug was the prime guy to do it and help me. I asked questions that I wanted to know answers to, and what everyone has been assuming, well, this was the assumption. Did you know that it was more the Eagles that fired him than Doug walking away?
I did. I actually had a similar perception of that Howard had. When Howard came on and he said,
okay.
I kind of thought that Doug wouldn't move on the coaches, and that's where the eventually the break came, which I think that is where it probably came. And I thought Doug talked around it pretty nice, to be honest. But you know what I noticed from the interview? I really don't think Doug. I don't think he has a sour taste in his mouth. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get fired from somewhere, you might hate the person, absolutely. You might hate Howie or the owner. Yeah. Like I really felt like Doug didn't have any sour taste in his mouth at all.
More grateful.
Right. Grateful, appreciative of the time, and just understanding of the business as well. You know, where look, I'm a coach. You know what I mean? Like that's just the nature of being a coach in this league. But you can also tell he thinks very highly of Jalen Hurts.
But I could tell you this too. I think because the love of the fans that they have for him, I think that covers a lot of the hurt.
I told you the city loves Doug Pederson. You're right. You are right. Because it's not like they didn't, in a way, not that they would have tried to do this, but everything he built isn't burned completely. It's over, but it's not burned, right? Does that make sense? Like it's still here. The statue's still there. We all think about it and talk about it, with the context that it deserves. So I do think that's a big part of it.
What did you make of the fact that, obviously he didn't get a chance to pick his coaches and he had to fight for his coaches. And the question that Angelo wanted me to ask, I had to ask it in a nice way. I don't want to go crazy with it, but it's clearly that Nick has more say in elevating certain coaches than what Doug did. And Doug didn't have that option. What'd you make of that?
Well, I think some of that is unfortunately, circumstantial for Doug.
Yeah, but maybe the Eagles learned too. Maybe they should get their coach.
But remember what happened before Doug, right? Remember where they came as a franchise, coming off of Chip Kelly, coming off of the era where, you have Jeffrey Lurie. Let's just make the analogy. The Eagles are his baby.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody's holding your baby. People have done a good job of holding your baby. Then you hire somebody and they drop your baby on its head. And then next time you hold the baby, you're like, all right, I'm a little more guarded. And I think that was some of that existed with Doug. Now, you could make an argument it should have been back to normal by 2020. For whatever reason, it wasn't. Now I think you're 10 years removed from that. You're 2 Super Bowls later. There's a more confident persona in the organization that they believe they're meant to be at the top of the organization or top of the NFL, not that they're just here today and gone tomorrow. So I think that played into it a little bit. And, the one knock I would have on Doug is I don't particularly know how impressive those candidates were.
Yeah.
Not that Petullo is all that impressive.
After the fact.
Right. So I don't know. Maybe Jeffrey saw something and didn't want to push over on it. But I think it more has to do with the circumstance of the organization where they didn't want to let that thing get out of control with the coach yet, especially coming off a chip. And I think that had a lot to do with it. But, boy, you could tell Doug Pederson's a smart guy. He's a football guy. You can tell why he's a player's coach. He understands. He's got a great perspective on everything. I thought it was a great interview. I really enjoy it. Not often, Sills, do I produce these shows. 5-6 years now I've been doing this. Not often do I catch myself in a gate, like watching the show, watching, consuming, and really listening to everything. And I was certainly doing that with him.
Yeah, he's a compelling man. I hope he gets back into the game here. All right.
Hey, listen, he's got his feet kicked up, making what, 5 million, 6 million?
8.
Would you be in a right? 8 million. Would you be in a rush? No. He's probably golfing. He's watching his son. He's hanging with his wife. He's probably like, this ain't too bad. I don't know. Way. I think you're right. He's not a sit on your hand. I'm certainly not a sit on my hands guy. I'll be working till I'm dead. I'll be working till I'm 6 feet under. I don't know if
there's people who just don't have idle hands.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. By the way, I'm with you. If you think that fucking meeting yesterday was over schematics on offense, you're out of your fucking mind. The whole unit would have been in there. Now, I don't want to pollute the question to you, but dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
This was about the relationship between AJ and Jalen Hurts.
I agree 100%. Now, I mean, obviously we're in some way we're speculating, but you can kind of go by the process of elimination and get really close to that point. Because
wait, before you go on, are you really going to have an offensive schematic meeting without Lane Johnson in the room?
Well, that's my point. Like we're speculating, but at the end of the day, let's go through the process of elimination. Is it about the offense? Well, you don't have Devontae. You don't have Jordan or Lane or Dickerson or any of the interior guys. You don't have Kevin Petullo and Nick Sirianni.
The center who has the ball in his hands as much as the quarterback.
So it's not okay, let's eliminate that. It's not about the offense. It's clearly not about the offense. Is it about the passing game? Well, why would Devontae Smith not be involved? Why would Dallas Goedert not be involved? Let's rule that out. How many other things do we have? I don't know. Maybe we come up with 5 things that it could be about. I think the elephant in the room is it's about Jalen and AJ. Credit to Saquon if he was the mediator. I know people report it like that, and maybe they're not right. John wanted to have fun with that. But at the end of the day, I do think that's what happened. I think Saquon literally said, I don't know what the fuck happened to you guys before I showed up here. I never got involved in it last year because it was my first year in this city. but we got bigger goals. So you two got to let's handle this like men. And I don't know, maybe you want to knock Jalen or AJ for that, for one or the other. I think both of them are stubborn in their own ways. And say, look, I hope it helps at the end of the day. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I hope that we see a little bit of fire and a little bit of life between these two guys. I mean, if you remember the 22 season, man, not only were these two guys productive and successful, but they enjoyed playing with, like, you could see it. And I know that's not everything. I'm not the happiness guy. You think I'm happy every day? I tell you right now, I ain't happy every day. It ain't all about happiness. So I get that. But I think when you play with a little bit of that free nature, you're a better football player. You play more free. You get on the same page. You remember how we used to talk about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the way they would freelance.
Yeah.
So many of their plays they made were just because they were on the same page. Mahomes would be outside the pocket. Kelce would come and get the ball. Like Jalen and AJ, they have none of that. They have no on-field chemistry anymore. And they did in 22 and 23. So I hope they can kind of get back to that.
Barkley.
What's that?
That's pre-Barkley.
It is pre-Barkley, but I don't think Barkley's the reason for it. I really don't. I mean, I think part of the reason they changed the offense, but I think their problems were before then.
Who do you think?
I remember Brandon Graham spoke pretty early in the year.
Who do you think the coaching staff wants to win games with and have the offense run through beside the quarterback, Barkley or AJ?
I mean, I think ideally they want to beat Barkley.
Okay, right.
Because it worked.
And I think that's AJ's problem.
Are they wrong? They are right now with the offensive line as it stands, I would say.
You've been exposed.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we've been exposed.
I think
it's been revealed to us that we are not Iron Man. All right. We were 21 and 22. Again, even me, I had this the entire game, Sills, all the way to the end. I'm like, oh, we're going to figure out a way to win. We always do. We always figure out a way to win. And I think it's in a way, if you're going to have chinks in the armor, which every team does, I do agree with John on this point. I disagree with him that this meeting was about the offense. I do agree with him that there's an overreaction happening to one loss. Every team in the NFL loses. Now, I understand the offense.
The team is overreacting.
Right. Yeah. I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about the team.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I mean, I just hope they can continue to build on it, honestly, and get back to that area. But I don't know if the coaches are wrong. Barkley led us to a Super Bowl last year. 22, I would say that they did too.
Here's 20 quarters of football, what you're trending on right now with injuries and where you are. On offense, you're 30th in total. You're passing, you're 31st. You're rushing, you're 25th. On defense, your total is 20th. Passing, you're 15th. You were number 1 last year. Rushing, you're 22nd. I mean.
Yeah. Complimentary football has got to come back into it real quick, and I'll answer your question in a second. I just got a text from my editor who does the shorts clips, and he texts me. He says, Sills, his questions are so fucking good. I got to get all these. That's my editor. That's what he just texted me. Sills' questions are so good.
I asked Doug, by the way, on a text, I go, how many times have you done IP? He goes, I think once. That's when I first initially got. When he got fired.
To answer your question, don't you think it's kind of about? Don't you think the rankings right now, especially defensively, are more about the offense? And I know that doesn't sound correct, but it's like, dude, you got your defense on the field. Again, you pointed out in the postgame show immediately, 70 Broncos plays. And by the way, they weren't a good offense for 3.5 quarters on Sunday or Sunday. They were not. Like they had the period from when they had 3 points on the board to when they got their first touchdown in the second half. Yeah. They were literally putrid. They couldn't move the ball for shit.
Yeah.
So the defense, the offense got to help a D out a little bit, man. You got to move the ball. You can't be leading the league in 4th down. So they still are 3 and outs. Excuse me. Let me read you. Zach Berman put this out last night, and I retweeted it, and I'm just like, shit, man. I thought hopefully after last week, it would have gotten better a little bit, or at least getting more toward getting better at it. But Zach Berman puts the most befuddling stat about the Eagles, which is a great word for it, befuddling. They've had 3 and outs, a league high 47.2% of their offensive drive.
Wow.
Number 2 on the list is Tennessee And number 3 on the list is Cincinnati. It's beyond comprehension for an offense with this much talent to lead the league in that category. And ready for this kicker? It's only been 5 games, so we got to wait a little bit. But consider this. No team has had a worse 3-and-out percentage since 2005, the 2005 49ers, who went 4-12 that year. So, again, it's only week 5. They're not 47% for the year.
Either this is going to get turned
that's
around.
Where we're pacing.
Wait a minute. And this is either going to turn around to be, well, we were just stumbling because of injuries. Or, dude, this is not – they do not look very good. I'll tell you what, I'm with you. You know what? Even though those defensive numbers are where they are, that's not surprising with all the new faces. I'm not surprised. By the way, I'm also not disappointed in that offense. Bro, I am highly disappointed in that offense. Wouldn't you say that? You're not really that disappointed because you see the upside. You see the upside with the defense, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's been moments where you get a little bit, but I think that's every football game. And I think overall the defense is way ahead of schedule. I mean, I think naturally that's really one of the biggest positives through 5 weeks sitting at 4-1 is the defense. Even with the grades that you read out or the rankings that you read out, that is one of my most positive takeaways of the year so far. Look, offense has to be better. There's no doubt. You can put the money on there. You can put the 10 of 11 starters returning on there. You can, whatever you want to do. Whether you want to say 60 million a receiver, you'd be right on all of them. So the offense has no excuse. They got to get a little bit better. I think they all know that. The question is, what does that look like? I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, honestly, because if you think about 22 and 23, you point out correctly that was pre-Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
24, you struggle in the first 5 weeks throwing. Then you go to Saquon. Then you run all the way to a Super Bowl. Now they're trying to stuff that, square peg into a round hole, and it's not working. The offensive line's not the same. Saquon's getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. All these different things are happening, and they keep trying to do that. What's the evolution from here? I don't know. Is it a passing attack with Saquon? I don't know. I'm like almost beside myself, Sills, because it seems so simple to me to have this good balanced approach. You got great receivers, you got a good quarterback, and you got a great running back. Throw the ball, run some play action, get the ball to Saquon Barkley at moments, and build your offense in a balanced way. It just feels like I don't know. It just feels like it's damn near impossible. I got egg on my face this week as you introduced me to the show today, blame Xander. I'm like, fuck, I didn't want 40 passes to 2 runs. I just wanted a little bit more balance. Yeah. Holy moly.
How about your boy Brian Dable trolling the Eagles today?
Yeah, I got a good troll.
Saying A.J. Brown's open.
I got a better troll for him back. All right. And I got to credit Lord Brunson for this. I know he doesn't come on your show anymore because he doesn't like the greatness of big sales. But he hit him back and said, good troll. I also see an opening, and I also see someone else who's open, and that's the Giants head coaching job. I thought that was a good rip by Lord Brunson. I had to give him credit for that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, but that was a good troll. We got to give him credit.
What do you make of Landon Dickerson missing a couple games coming up here?
I'm upset about the fact that he's going to be out, but it's a very necessary evil right now.
Why didn't they do it earlier, though?
Right. I mean, it almost has been like, I don't want to overstate this. It almost has been like he's not playing with how good he's playing. If you think about it, what's he at? 50% health, 40%,
if that,
60%. So it's like you're playing Landon, but you're playing Landon in name only.
Yeah.
He's not really. You're not really getting Landon Dickerson. You're getting Matt Pryor with Dickerson on his jersey.
Yeah.
Right. But let Landon get a little healthy, man. I'd almost be like, hey, if he needs to oppose bye week, I'm good with that. That's 3 games. That's Giants, Vikings, Giants. You get into the bye week. That's 4 good, really 4.5 good weeks of rest for Landon. He should be able to come out of that much healthier, and I think it'll be beneficial for the team. So, look, you got to prevail, though, this week. There's no doubt. I mean, we're talking about how to get the offense going. Whether you're playing the Giants or not, by the way, they got a great defensive line. getting the offense going will rely on offensive line, running game, and all those different things. So you lose Landon. You got Lane banged up. Cam Jurgens talking about the back surgery. He was clearly alluding to he's still hurt a little bit. I'm worried about nerve damage. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, I'm with you.
Would
you think of moving Steen? Would you think of moving Steen over to left guard?
Why? So you can bring Pryor in the right?
Yeah, because again,
because you don't like Brett Tall.
Well, because again, the worst.
You don't like Tooth.
The worst old lineman usually in an offensive line is the right guard.
Is that traditional?
Yes,
is that
traditional.
Wow,
well, look at what you guys have done the last 3-4 years.
Yeah,
that's your revolving door position.
Yeah, from Sayamalu to who do we have before?
Cam Jurgens after that.
Cam Jurgens. Then we had Becton. Now we got Steen. That's right.
Right, and you put your backup center over at right guard.
Yeah.
So I mean, something to think about. I doubt because that kid what is it, Toth?
Yeah.
Bro, they put that fucking guy over there. He's terrible. I mean, he's just getting killed over there.
You haven't been a Tooth guy for
no, not at all. He's been terrible. By the way, Pryor's not played well. What's Nick's role in this whole thing with AJ and Hurts? Did you hear Doug say that's the head coach's responsibility to get guys in the room and read them the truth of where you are? Dude, maybe the problem was you are the defending champs. Act like it.
If you're right, if you're right about what you said, if you think it was about, which I agree with, the relationship of the two, I'm almost cool with Nick being like, bro, deal with that shit. I'm a football coach.
Okay, there's a way to look at it.
No, I get it. As a coach and a leader, you got to be responsible. But if it is really not about the offense and it's about some
too small for me to deal with. I'm not dealing with.
What would Jimmy say? Yo, fucking guys, figure it out and meet me in my office when you're done. I don't want to litigate this with you. You know,
he would not address this.
Exactly. So if it's really about personal, then I think it's fine that it's players only. But I hope they figure it out here. I'm not going to lie to you here. I know I was Team AJ a week ago, and I still have a lot of love and respect for AJ, but I don't know, man. I keep playing that.
You're getting worn out.
And I keep playing that Brandon Graham clip in my head last year. And I trust Brandon Graham more than I trust AJ or Jalen, to be honest with you. And Brandon Graham said this. He said, one is trying, talking about Jalen Hurts. He is trying. He said that 3 times over. I know he's trying. So, I don't know. Is he not doing it perfect? Shit, get in line. And the rest of the human beings who aren't perfect in life, But if he's trying and he's doing the things that a veteran who's been here for 15 years through ups and downs and multiple Super Bowls and multiple coaches and multiple quarterbacks says that about the quarterback, something leads me to believe that the dude who keeps making a stink year in and year out about production might be the dude that we got to tell to shut the fuck up. AJ, we love you, but shut the fuck up, man.
I just don't think he respects Hurts' game.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess. I don't think that's it.
Okay, then what else is it?
I understand why you bring that up. He had 2 of his best years as a pro. He had 2 Hall of Fame level. If he did that every year for 5 years.
Has his production gone down since Barkley came?
All right, so what if you're AJ Brown? What are you? So you're going to become the 6-year-old who doesn't get the candy at the fair and throws a hissy fit in the middle of the fucking fair.
You're T.O. Yeah.
That's what he's doing. If that's the case, and I don't know that it is, but if that's the case, that's what he's doing. You're throwing a hissy fit at the fair. Meanwhile, you won on every other prize you've been on in the fair that night.
You're 18-4 and you're throwing bitches? Bro, you're 8. Wait, hold on. You're counting the playoffs?
Well, remember,
you're 21-1. You're 21-1, and you're throwing bitches with a Super Bowl.
Here's where my original perspective on AJ isn't changed, and I don't know if this is true or not. I think we're all speculating at this point on this, but my original perspective on AJ was that he truly believed it was more about the offense at large than it was about individual numbers. Now, I might be completely wrong about that. But if he was talking about that, then I can respect that, because I think everybody who's an honest football fan and who watches the game more than just turns on the Eagles 4 hours a week, wants to parade him and then comes on our show and can't believe that we're talking about anything that's not, high in praise like the Eagles account. Everybody can see the offense has problems. They're the 31st ranked offense in football. The running game's not working the same. The offensive line's not the same. The passing game has still been stagnant and struggling, and you're putting an immense amount of pressure on the defense. Most people who watch the game of football can see that. If AJ was talking about that, he still wasn't wrong, but I just don't know if that's gotten muddied now because maybe he wasn't talking about that. You know?
Are we sure this isn't about Barkley? Because all the problems that he's starting to bitch about started after he got here. And to Jalen's point, dude, I'm going to take a line from you. I'm doing everything that we need to do to win ball games.
That's Jalen. That's Jalen. I believe it's Jalen. Exactly.
I do. I'm not, dude. I got him in my MVP race right now. I'm not out on that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I get what you're saying.
Okay, but I think it's got everything to do with Barkley and how they see Saquon Barkley as a bigger star in that huddle than him. And guess how I know that? Look at the production. He's 61st in receptions right now in the NFL. Dude, he has not been responsible for the 4 wins, and he's been kind of responsible for the loss. The passing game. They wanted it, they passed, they lost. I mean, maybe the Rams game he was in the mix there with the passing game, and he was responsible for that, but the majority of these games, I don't know, man. I agree with John on this. This has been made way bigger than it should be.
Well, you remember too, this is also, and I think this is more
shit's blowing up.
It's this. Well, I don't think it's blown up yet. We'll see though. I mean,
I was told it was over last week.
Yeah, it's not. I will say this too. They're making life has gotten harder too in the offense as a whole because of that offensive line. From a sense of they're playing Jalen much differently this year, and there's not as much of a threat from the running game, or the passing game. So when you have when they're forcing to beat you from the pocket, and then your running game's also not helping you have no play action, you got no rollouts, you got no RPOs. They're not doing anything to put Jalen in a better position to be able to take advantage of defenses that are preying on him. It's like just like Brady. Every quarterback has a kryptonite, and Jalen's right now is when you take away his ability to make plays outside the pocket, that's his kryptonite. When you take that, or you know what I mean? So they've made that. Think about how much easier they've made that this year. And I don't know if that's because of injury. I don't know if it's because the offensive line doesn't look the same. I don't know if it's because we got spoiled. I don't know if Jeff Stoutland has something to do with it because he's the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach. I don't know. There's still a lot to fix.
All right, let's do these supers, my friend.
Yeah, let's do them. I don't know if we missed any, too, and Doug was on.
We did. We did.
Kimberly says, AJ's envious. Barkley stole the limelight. Well,
ego will divide a lot of relationships, my friend. And you got to feel the receiver has ego.
Yeah, well, they all do. Mikey says, hate to say this, but feels like a quarterback issue. If Jalen is this limited and can only thrive in specific offenses, what happens when teams don't allow that to work?
Yeah, but Mikey, here's the deal, though. He has a limited offense he excels in, and he's winning Super Bowls and getting the Super Bowls.
Dude, we've been successful 4 different fucking offenses, Mikey. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
fucking year it looks somewhat different, dude. I mean, I'm sorry, but you say this like last year was the anomaly and the one year where Jalen Hurts ever had a glimpse of success. Sorry, but that's just not the case. Whatever you want to say about the guy's skill set, it's not the case. They didn't run that offense in 22 or 23. Now, it was different versions, a different version of the play in the offense.
Different version in 24.
To say he can only thrive in one specific offense, I think is a naive comment. Love you, Mikey. Kimberly says, I'm not sleeping on the Giants. D-line's good. How banged up are they right now?
You know what? Abdul Carter's the real deal. Dude, Neighbors is down. Their run game's okay. Man, I'll tell you. Here's what I'll throw out. If that's a 21-17 game, and the Eagles beat them 21-17, you're going to have holy hell loose.
No, win the game. It's a divisional matchup.
I don't know, man.
I'm not falling for that.
You're barely beating bad
I'm
teams.
sorry. I'm not falling for that bullshit. Win the game and find yourself. What do we need? What? So now the expectation is blow them out?
I'm not talking about me. You watch those guys blow up again. This is not the end of it.
I told you guys I got some egg on my face, so when we win, I'm good. I don't really have any. When we just win, just fucking win. All right, we have one loss. I already don't like it. Don't like it.
One loss.
30 days says, fun fact, every Oklahoma starting quarterback from 25 to 23 is starting in the NFL. That is amazing.
It is.
Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, and Dylan Gabriel.
And get this, those are
Dylan
all.
Gabriel wasn't.
Dylan Gabriel was at OU before he went to Oklahoma.
Oh, no, before he went to
he transferred from UCF to Oklahoma to Colorado.
To Colorado.
Or to
Oregon? No, where did he go?
Yeah, he went to Oregon. Yeah.
No, Bo Nix went to Oregon.
Yeah, I know.
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel went to Oregon too.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah, you're right.
But
he was there after Bo. He was there after Bo.
UCF.
He was the year after Bo. He was there the year after Bo.
He went to UCF, Oklahoma, then he went to Oregon.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
That's Lincoln Riley.
That's pretty sick. Well, he left from what, 20?
Yeah.
Cal says, Sills, you think Mahomes will ever win another bowl? I do. I do too.
I think he'll win multiple.
He looks really good again. I know they didn't win last night,
but
he
just got horse shit on that.
He's just a good player, dude. He just figures out how to win football games.
He is so
hungry, and he does it in an impressive fashion too. Hangry Dog says, Sill said it. Hurts MVP. Clip it at 13:30 Pacific time. Didn't Doug say he hired Frank?
Yes. To be his offensive coordinator.
Thanks, Dio. Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, I personally tell you, I still got Hurts in my MVP conversation right now. You're not 4-1 without him. You are not 4-1 right now without him.
No way. Kimberly says we are echoing it. Doug would develop Jalen. I think Jalen would be. Think about this. First year in the league. This is basically no NFL development yet. He throws for 300 plus with Jalen Reagor and who do we have? Travis Fulgham in 2020. Think about that. He throws for 300 versus a Cardinals team his rookie year with Doug Pederson coming off the bench with trash cans at wide receiver. And now people want to tell me he can't throw when he's got AJ and Devontae.
How about this?
I think Doug would have been.
I still think the fight would have been in the coordinators of Doug hiring the coordinators for Jalen, like it is right now.
Potentially.
Because that's where the rub is.
Did you read this? Because this is Big Marsh.
Get
off your knees for Dak. Come on, Marsh.
You think Dak's playing well?
Yeah, what? Absolutely.
Dak's playing MVP ball right now.
But listen, I'm going to go Philly 500 on you. It's classic Dak.
Okay.
Week 4, week 5, Dak looks like an unbelievable quarterback.
I know it's October 7th.
Yeah, I got you. I'm just saying, don't you believe by year 10 with 3 number 1 offense, like you got to win playoff games, So Dak looks great for sure. But
yes.
I'm going to hold off until you go and win a playoff game.
No, I'm not saying anything is not going to play itself out like Dak does. I'm telling you on October 7th, the guy's playing MVP ball.
100%.
That's all I'm saying. Nothing more, nothing less.
You could probably make an argument Dak would be top 3 in the MVP rankings right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely he is.
Yeah. I think that's fine. I don't think that's hard.
Number 1 offense and a 32nd ranked defense. What do you think?
Yeah. That's like Joe Burrow a year ago, and they were talking about him in it too. Who has a better touchdown to interception rate? Who cares? Wait, what? Where do we miss Doug? Thank you, Big Sills. I appreciate you. All right, we got that. Big Marsh, we got that. Prince said, thank you, Doug. Appreciate you, Prince. Reyes said, God bless you, Doug.
That's really cool,
hero. Worldwide hero for Philly fans. I agree, Reyes. Here's Devin. He said, would love to have Dougie back. He's a real coach, a real human being, not like that puppet that is scared to speak. There's no doubt Doug's a real dude.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the outpouring of love that Philadelphia has for him was clearly on display. Bro, really. I mean, I was shocked, actually. Xander, I didn't realize. You know what I think happened? He did something to all of you guys that you thought would never going to happen. He did something for all of you guys. And when you saw that Lombardi trophy raised, it had to probably be the greatest moment in Philadelphia sports history.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, generations of kids and families never saw that happen.
100%.
I mean, wouldn't you agree that moment, that 17 title versus the 24 title, no disrespect to the 24, 17 will always live in the hearts of everybody in that city.
100%. And I'll tell you this right now. Doug Pederson's my favorite coach in Eagles history. Now, I'm not going to speak like that'll never change. Maybe there's some guy in the future who shows up, but the dude we have now could win 5 Super Bowls. I ain't going to like him as much as I like Doug. That's just the reality. And I respect Nick. I'm not even a Nick hater. You know that. He's not my favorite, but I'm not a Nick hater. I'm not like Angela, who I think Nick's been successful. He's done a good job. He's managed the team well, but Doug's my guy. And by the way, now Doug came on JAKIB. It's lights out for everybody else, man. Doug Pederson is the fucking GOAT, baby.
Yeah. Hey, I'm so happy that he came on here, and he hasn't been on anywhere else in a long, long time. And so it was really great. All right, Big Z, I got to pay some bills here, and that was great. Now guess who I'm working on next? Nick Foles.
Nick, you said that. That's great. That's great. Wait, did we miss Jason's? One more. He said Doug will always be the first. The Philly never wanted to fire Doug, at least us fans. Ask Doug what was his favorite moment as coach in Philly. That would have been a good question too. But Jason, appreciate it, brother.
Here's one more down here, Emran.
Shithead. All right, we got 2 more. There's nowhere to hide from me when we repeat. Ray, sure as delusional as they come. Brody Brandel. What's up, Brody? I love this guy's name. Just sounds like a TV show name. Brody Brandel. He says Saquon is the Brown as Hurts was the Wentz. Some guys get motivated, some detach.
That's right. I agree. Brody, great stuff. Big Z, keep kicking ass, man. And by the way,
do you hear me filibustering this morning? Boy, they got the John. Boy. John made that comment yesterday about Jalen Hurts. Before we started my show today, he clicked on the link and we're talking pre-show, and he's like, "Man, you had to post that out, didn't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did. You said it on our program, John. I'm running a business. I got to make money. I got to get views. I got to build this business." And he's like, "I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying they gave me a hard fucking time, and they're going to continue to."
I thought it was one of the greatest comments I've ever seen anybody covering the team ever make. Dude.
Yeah, well, they gave him a hard time for it, and they're going to keep giving him a hard time for it.
It's rough doing business with Big Sills and JAKIB. Big Z, keep it up, man. Keep it up, bro. Catch you in the morning, man. Keep it up, brother. Love you, man. Great stuff. All right, folks, we got to pay some bills here. My great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason, and that is because they win. Over 25 years in the business of defending families across the country. I told you, the reason that Morgan & Morgan was put into action was because John's brother was paralyzed by a company, and he said, no way. It became a crusade for Morgan & Morgan to go and make sure families are well protected, and that's what exactly they do. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales, pound law 529. That's FORthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529 to do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Great stuff. By the way, we just got a text back from Nick Foles. He's going to try to come on with us in the next couple days. And we'll be looking forward to that interview as well. We appreciate everybody. And again, the Doug Pederson interview will premiere right after our program here. We are really glad that Coach had a great time. He texted us back and said that, he really had a wonderful time on the program. So getting closer to Thursday night's game, Eagles and Giants. Holy cow, we're right around the corner here, right? We're hours away from that game being on Thursday night with Giants in the Meadowlands, with the Eagles going up to the New York Giants on I-95 there. So, guys, I appreciate it. Big Z. Joe, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip side.